everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Tetracast, RPG Site's weekly podcast. I'm your host, Brian Vitale. Joining me, we have Josh Torres.
What another week for video games, and happy Valentine's slash Singles Awareness Day as the day of this recording.
Yep, we're recording this on Valentine's. We have Mikhail Madnani,
Hello.
Adam Vitale,
Hello.
James Glizio,
Hey, folks.
and joining us today, we have Ashley Schofield.
Hi.
So Ashley is joining us today, and we'll get into why in just a moment. No Chow this week. I think he is busy due to Valentine's with his restaurant gig. So we'll catch up with Chow next week. But thank you for joining us, Ashley. First time on the Tetracast. So Ashley is a freelance journalist and critic who recently published a review for a game that we're going to be talking about this week, and that is, of course, the recently released Yakuza Kiwami 3. Now, Ashley, I know that you haven't been on the Tetracast before. We have, of course, talked about Kiwami 3 as it was, of course, announced, as, of course, the the pre-release media was, provided by RGG and Sega. But we haven't talked about, the reception to it in the review cycle, because we actually didn't get access. We don't have a review for our site yet. So it's very auspicious that you're able to come on the Tetracast and talk about Kiwami 3 with us. And, we have other people on the staff that have started playing it or have played the original. So we're happy to have your input and your reception to the game as kind of our leading topic for this week.
I mean, I think it's interesting to consider that I really thought there was a moment when I finished the review that I was like, well, I'm never going to think about this again. And I don't want to, because it's, as we make it into, garbage. But I then kindly get an invite on here, and it's like, hey, so you currently have you're the big Kiwami 3 review person. Do you want to talk about it on a podcast? And I was like, yeah, I'll take an hour to shit on Sega more for taking my favorite series down the fucking drain, please. Yeah.
Yeah, so Kiwami 3 is going to be our main topic this week. We also, of course, in the back half of the podcast, have a lot of news coming out of the Sony State of Play, so stick around for that past the game section at the start here. But yeah, we're going to start with Kiwami 3, and we're going to just kind of give you the microphone, proverbially speaking, and then, of course, we'll just bounce ideas off of, what your reception was, what other people think, and we'll kind of just go from there. So just tee us up your time with Kiwami 3. You reviewed it for videogamechronicle.com. It did make a few waves up on social media, but just tee us up. Like your approach. I presume you've played entirely all the series based on your Discord screen name here. But just your impressions going into Kiwami 3, coming out of Kiwami 3. You've kind of teed us up what your impressions are, but I'll let you speak to them. What your thoughts were.
Before we get into that, I think it feels like we're like kind of going like straightforward, like rushing into it, and I want to give Ashley a bit of the stage of like kind of ease us into it, her history with the series, because like you said, it was like one of your favorite series before coming into this, and I agree with you, and definitely this series has meant a lot to me as well. But just before diving into it, like your history of the series, kind of your general impression. And kind of how I guess things have started to kind of fall apart in the seams and gradually and now in a big way. So I'm very interested in your perspective, sort of the build up to it, and now here where we are today.
I gotta say, feeling very what's the word? Special in the case of like, oh, you're on the podcast now. Please explain to me the previous lore of why this game sucking matters to you so much. Yeah, so I mean, look, as previously mentioned, my screen name on everything, my tag on everything is Ash Like a Dragon, and that is because of this series being the maybe piece of media in general that matters to me most. I don't think that's unreasonable to say. I started playing Yakuza 0 like most people in 2020 when that kind of blew up and became like a phenomena in the West. And then just kept going and just kept being hilariously brain rotted about this series. I think the thing of note, really, and I'm going to open the pod on a very light-hearted note, but Yakuza 7, Yakuza Like a Dragon in 2020, like towards the end of 2020, legitimately, genuinely, truly, is at least partly responsible for me still being here in general. So that's a big thing. That, I can look
Life changing, genuinely life changing,
genuine, life changing, life maintaining, even.
yes,
So as you would imagine, it means quite a bit to me for the past maybe year and a half, 2 years of RGG Studio to be at the state that it is. Because, obviously it sucks if something you like sucks. That's just, that
yeah,
never feels good. But for something that like is so deeply ingrained in me and like fucking like inked in my flesh, that I straight up have tattoos of a dragon and a koi because of this series.
that's awesome.
They're very
Yeah,
cool and I love
yeah,
them. And I look at my arm every day and I'm like, I got these the last couple of years and I feel slightly different about them now. I'm kidding. I'm not getting
yeah,
removed or anything, but like,
for sure.
yeah, all of that to say, this is my favorite series. It matters so much to me. So for Zero Director's Cut to exist how it does, and for finally Kiwami 3 to exist how it does, is a real, a real blow to me in the sense that I knew going in, just from pre-release information, just from trailers, just from interviews, from everything, because I was on that shit like a hawk. I wanted to know everything. Um, I knew this would be kind of bad. I knew it wouldn't be very good. But it is so, so much worse than I could have ever possibly foreseen in ways that, like, weren't immediately obvious and kind of illuminated themselves as I was getting through it. I thought the game would be bad. I didn't think it'd be misogynistic. It's that kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know. Is there like a way that we want to talk about Kiwami
I think
3
we have
other
a good
than me
starting
just
off
like
point.
exploding for
A good,
half an hour
yeah,
long?
I feel you. A good starting off point is sort of the early red flags when they revealed this game at some RGG Direct thing. We, of course, the big headline, like the immediate first thing people in the West saw is like, oh, they changed the design of Rikia. I'm not really feeling this design. And then as
I was
more,
gonna say that was the first domino for me, was
yeah,
that.
yeah. But as more people, educated people like yourself and others like saw the recasting of Go Hamazaki in Yakuza 3 with Teruyuki Kagawa, and you wrote a really really great article last November for Skybox. The headline is Hamazaki has to go. Where does Ryuga Gotoku Studio draw the line on casting, and why it's not a sexual assault? That is an article I regularly share with people because you do such an excellent job like describing the situation in context, because it is not the first time that RGG Studio has recasted people in its games for, you know people in the West, what we view as relatively minor or offenses, like smoking weed in Japan is a very serious offense, while in the West over here we think that's crazy that it's like such a, you know, they make a big deal out of it in Japan. So,
That's
but
insane. I
there's
smoked weed last week.
so there's definitely, some actors in RGG games that definitely got recasted for offenses like that. But Kagawa is on a different caliber, and you really delve into that. So I guess there's a good starting point in our discussion here of like, hey, this the red flags were there from the very beginning. I kind of want to go into your perspective about that when they first revealed this and your thought process.
So the article, thank you by the way for the kind words about the article and for like resharing it, but um that opens with essentially like a fictionalization of people watching that RGG Direct and having the experience of, oh, it's Kiwami 3, sure. Oh, why does Rikia look like that? Who is this guy in the purple suit? And I think I think from a very early stage, it seemed like Kiwami 3 was going to be lazy. And I would describe the previous Kiwami games like that as well. I am expecting Mikhail to disagree with me shortly, but I am not a huge fan of the previous Kiwami games, but they're okay. They're alright. Kiwami 3 I was expecting to be just like a low-budget project that they're doing on the side while they're doing Stranger Than Heaven, and they just did Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, and that was garbage, so I didn't have very high hopes, but I thought it'd be acceptable. And, Sho Kasamatsu as Rikiya is worse than Yakuza 3. Like, I don't enjoy his performance compared to Tatsuya Fujiwara, but it's fine. It misses the point. He's not a cute, like, innocent guy who's in over his head. He's just Tokyo Vice. Whatever, fine. The problem arises very quickly with Kagawa, with Hamazaki. And yeah, I'm not gonna just reiterate my whole article here, but to condense things as best as I can, which is difficult because there's a lot. As you implied earlier, there have been previous recastings of actors in this series for crimes that have affected people less, is probably the way I'd put it, such as like personal cocaine use or even non-existent cocaine use in the cases of Piataki and why have I forgotten his name? Hiroki Naramiya, respectively. But Kagawa has provably and admittedly I'm gonna go back into like writing the skybox piece of like what can I legally say here. Sexual harassment. Let's go there. Of two hostesses in a hostess bar around Minato Ward. No, Ginza, sorry, Minato Ward he's banned from because of the way he is. This is something that happened in 2019. It was reported on in 2021, 2022, and it is not a question. It happened. He admitted to it. It is a shadow on his career, even though it hasn't really stopped him from getting work, apparently. And there is simply no way that RGG Studio didn't know this going in and choosing to hire him to play Hamazaki. And people didn't know this initially. Like, I saw Kiwami 3 revealed, and I saw Sega have that little talk in the direct of, like, the actors they were recasting with. And Kagawa came up, and people, understandably, were like, oh, I've never seen this guy before, because he's mainly a Japan-only TV and kabuki actor. So people Googled him and found out, oh my god, Jesus Christ, he's, okay, fuck. This went on, and there became a long-running community directive, so to speak, of remove Kagawa, which, understandably, people don't really want this guy to be in the video games they like, because they don't want to be purchasing things that indirectly or directly, condone that casting and it being okay for him to have any fucking work. And a lot of people seem to have some hope in their heart that anything would happen here, which I kind of felt was a little optimistic, unfortunately, because obviously it's too late in development, and even if it wasn't too late in development, they very clearly don't want to and don't care. This rubs people the wrong way, very understandably, because Yakuza famously has a lot of cases of the protagonists and other people beating the shit out of sex pests.
Yes,
obviously, because
absolutely.
isn't that what we all dream to do? Like, it's very disgusting. It's disgusting in itself. It's insulting given the context of this series. So all of that has gone on. This has become a very constant thing. And the game releases. Kago is still in it. His performance sucks. Sho Kasamatsu is worse. who gives a shit? Like it's just worse. The problem is, like, it's fine to have a disappointing performance. That's whatever. But to have a performance from an admitted sex pest, and you know that, and you casted him, I said at the end of the Skybox article, and I didn't quite say it in the VGC article because I wasn't really advised to do it. But no one should buy this game. Straight up. No one should buy this game. I reviewed it because I knew I would have things to say about it, and I wanted to have my words on it, go out into the world, because I feel at this point, for better or worse, I am the Yakuza girl to a lot of people, and I'm also quite critical of the series, despite how much I adore it. So I felt like it was important to be given the space to do that. But as someone who has reviewed it, and as someone who feels very strongly about Kagawa's inclusion and the misogyny in it, and a lot of things, no one should buy this game. People should get review copies from Sega and review it with a poor score because it's awful, and that no one should ever talk about the game again. That should just be it.
I think it's totally important. If you love something, it's totally fair to have critiques about it. I think that's the sign of like, hey, a healthy love for something. Of course, you're going to have issues with it. Before we continue, Adam, you wanted to say something.
This is something I cannot prove, but it's maybe worth mentioning that. So we mentioned earlier that RPG Site did not get review code for this game, which is a little bit, we're not entitled to anything. That's fine. We can ask for it. They don't have to send it. But it's like we've gotten every single RDG Studio game since like 2018. So the fact that they were being a little bit more hesitant, this is like Sega's Western branch, with this release kind of tells me, and I'm making an assumption here, that like they were aware of some of the reception this game was going to get, and they were being a bit more careful or hesitant with their review copies. We actually did get one at launch. I will mention that, and Mikhail has started it and will review it. But it's just one of those things that like it is a data point. Like, why would this be the one game that we requested in the series that we did not get? And I can't prove anything, but to me it tells me that like they were aware, like Ashley said, of this is maybe Sega's Western branch doing what they can, but like the whole situation I think factored in basically.
This is just speculation, but if you look at the date of when that one Japanese interview that started like making the rounds like a week ago was originally posted in Japan, and see like when it appears that Sega started getting KGF review code, I would not be shocked if they saw that interview and realized that it was only a matter of time before it started spreading on the English speaking web. And again, speculation, but that's just it would line up.
So another point of like frame of reference per se, from what I know, a lot of European outlets had codes as they normally did. From the US outlets, there was only one person I knew who had it pre-release. Everyone else was just like up in the air. Even people who, like Adam said, like since 2018. In my case, this is the first, again, like not owed review codes or anything. You request the code, you get it. If they want to send it to you, that's fine. This is the first RGG game I have not gotten since like Yakuza 5 PS3. Which they did, the late thing they did, like, what was it, that holiday season or whatever. I was offered that, but I didn't have a PS3. But besides that, every single thing, except for Fist of the North Star, Lost Paradise for whatever reason, and Yakuza Kiwami 3 now. And like Adam said, we got it at launch, and I had requested codes for my comparisons because that's what the plan was, right? It's like I did it for Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. I was going to do guides and stuff. So I requested codes for comparisons. Everything just showed up at launch. So yeah, like not much that can be done on that front. But yeah, it does seem like Europe appears to have, like the PR over there appears to have sent out codes as normal. It's just that whoever I spoke to who deals with on the US side, they were just like waiting until launch as well. And as soon as Adam forwarded the review code to me, I had like texts from other people saying, "Did you get Kiwami 3? I just got it right now." So that's a bit bizarre. But yeah, I don't know if it has anything with that interview which was shared. And like Ashley obviously gave context on that on Blue Sky, which is worth reading. Because like from what I noticed is like whenever there's a game that starts getting like discourse quote unquote, I just add it to my mute list. I don't give a shit about it. Like I don't want to hear it from like randos and reposts and reskeets and shit. So with Kiwami, I just muted everything. In fact, I even like when like Ashley linked me to one of her posts, I just sent her a screenshot of her timeline because I've muted all those words because I was supposed to review it. There was just like there were 5 posts which said you cannot view this because muted words or whatever that thing is. So uh I feel like what people are doing with this now is there are actual legit issues to talk about. You all are going to discuss the ending and stuff with spoiler warnings, and there are legit issues, but people are like just latching onto the wrong stuff. Like they're posting that they're bringing up that one demo screenshot from the thing and saying, "Oh, it's like this and all," when stuff like that has been fixed. And I feel like this is reminding me of the discussion when the Switch 2 was launching and people were sharing that fake news about Nintendo games costing $90, and I'm like, you're just ruining your own argument, which you actually have topics to talk about, but you're just ruining it by spreading fake stuff. So I feel like that's kind of happening with Kiwami 3, and people are losing sight of the actual issues. But like I said, right, I got so sick of it, I just muted it. I was like, when I finish my review, I'll look at, like, I've saved her review to read because I've read every Yakuza review she's done except this one because I don't want to read a review until I finish my own. So that's where I'm at on that front right now. And that just wanted to give some context on the review quotes from what I had heard.
Okay, so yeah, so with that established timeline in mind, that like Mikhail mentioned, Ashley mentioned, yes, there are while this is inseparable on this massive miscast on this, even if you were to somehow go past that, like the final product that people played, like even then they're like we're not going to get into the ending yet, but I'll put warnings on that way in advance. But there are even like technical issues on a fundamental level, and as people saw the credits of this, part of this project at least was outsourced to Ukes, and that's not to say that like it's any dig on Ukes for their competency as a game developer on this, but there are definitely some issues with in the process of RGG Studio and Ukes collaborating on this, where it just turned out to be a technical mess where there are very provable clips and people's videos, streams of like, hey, even if you're trying to play this game, just to see for yourself, like the game itself makes it difficult to even get to even play at times because it just at launch, I don't know how much of this has been patched or fixed, but it's been like buggy in general, where there's like a lot of like light issues, some performance issues, some LOD issues. Ashley, did you like run into anything like just crazy like at a technical level where it's like, hey, playing this game even beyond those issues already like just doesn't feel great to play?
I'm going to quickly let Mikhail speak because I think he might
Oh,
have more
sure.
to say on this than me.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
So I obviously didn't play it pre-release, but the build which I have right now, which is 1.12 on Steam and PS5, and it's 1.10 on Switch 2. Switch 2 stuff I'll save for next week. I don't want to bore everyone with that, but yeah, there are major issues on that. But the game, it has like, when people exaggerate about Kiwami 2 and Kiwami 1's, like they change the tint of the game and stuff, and like I used to just roll my eyes whenever that happened. But like in Kiwami 3, it's actually too bad. Like I literally booted up to compare myself like with my old screenshots of Kiwami 1, Kiwami 2, and the new ports and all. And I don't know what the hell they've done with this. I even sent this to Ashley. Like some of the icons in the skills and upgrades are like super low resolution, and there are text issues and stuff. It just feels like it's not polished like you're used to. Like, Yakuza 6, it was their first game in this engine. It was kind of rough and all, but it did not have these polish issues. Then there's like, how in the Kiwami 2 and Kiwami 1, or actually not Kiwami 1, the Dragon Engine games, when they do the cutscenes, they have these good cinematic camera cuts and stuff. In Kiwami 3, I'm only 4 hours in, and it seems like half the character models are from Dragon Engine and half are like just the old character models. Like it feels like I'm playing a PS3 game randomly with PS4 lighting and stuff, and I don't know what's going on, but it does not feel consistent and polished like it should. And it feels like this game needed more time. and this is like just talking about the technical aspects. I've not run into any performance issues like some people did with the demo on like PS5 and PC, but it just lacks the polish I'm used to from their releases. Like even Fist of the North Star, which had its own issues, was not like unpolished like this. So that's like my point of view so far.
I do have one quick thing that I can say on the note of the cutscenes, which isn't necessarily an answer, but is very relevant to what you said. Kiwami 3 does the same thing as Kiwami 1 and 2 in adapting, forgive me for using very simple terms here, but adapting animation data from the original games to the contemporary models. And it was noticeable in Kiwami 1 and 2 because the main problem was that, like, the animation data of Kiryu's expressions didn't work very well on the higher res models with a lot more complex facial meshes and everything. But it was noticeable. People made jokes about, like, oh, Kiwami Kiryu is just like barely emotes, but whatever, he's stoic. Kiwami 3 is really bad for this. Where basically if a character has not been recast and therefore reanimated from the ground up, it's really noticeable that it's, old kind of unpolished animation from Yakuza 3, and especially that in basically any scene where there is any high emotion, be it rage or sadness or anything, it looks very stilted. This isn't I'm spoiling Yakuza 3 from 2009. In the scene of Rikiya's death, Kiryu in the original is fucking distraught. Like, his face is gonna fucking rip apart. He is ruined and crushed. In Kiwami 3, he looks like slightly annoyed that, like, the line for the bathroom is too long. Like, he's incredibly unemotive. And this goes for a lot of other characters as well, but you really notice it with Kiryu. And there were several points while playing the game that I had the image, like, in my head of what the Yakuza 3 cutscene looked like, because I played it again before Kiwami 3 to refresh myself. And I was just like, fuck, this looks so much worse. And I know why. I know it's because they've just tried to put the old animation data on these new models, and it doesn't work. Because it's just lazy. It's just a time and budget saving method, and it makes the game look like shit. It's infuriating. It really bothers me.
The Kiwami series is like just really bad with this stuff because I feel like the original PS2 versions of 1 and 2 had Kiryu that was way more expressive than his Kiwami counterpart of those games. It's kind of annoying. Like, that's one of the many issues I have into the Kiwami series, but I'm not gonna beat that down again. Because I'm with you that I prefer the originals over the Kiwami versions of them. Yeah, and as many people have already shared, like Adam shared a screenshot in our voice channel chat on the Discord where one of the subtitled lines just is unfinished. Like, they didn't even bother to correct the typo issue in like one of the subtitle lines. And I feel like, I don't know if they finally patched it, but it feels like that issue was present from the review build into the final build, because I saw many other people share that same screenshot when they were playing it. And it's like, okay, what's going on? Like, come on, there's a minor typo that you would hope at least gets fixed in the final release before people play it. But it's like, I will be fair in the sense that, like, this is not just like overall a complete downgrade from the original in terms, like, they did add some new stuff to this, which is, hey, like the orphanage stuff, there's a bit more mini games to it. You do kind of get more involved as a caretaker role for Kiryu in that. So that's one of the things that they mentioned. And they had the whole dark ties to it with Mine, who was the Yakuza 3 antagonist, he has now his own story mode, which we'll get into in a bit. But before I go on, Ashley, I want to hand the mic over to you, because I know you have a lot of stuff to say about this section here.
Yeah, I just heard you say, like, yeah, I can't call this game a complete downgrade, and just alarm bells went off in my head.
Right.
Like, no,
okay.
no,
Go.
it's
Okay.
absolutely worse.
Go for it. Yeah, you're the one who played it. I didn't, so you would know better than I do.
Okay, so I'm trying to remain like at all structured here, to some degree, but
Yeah.
the orphanage, for example, is fucking shit. It's oh my god, it's just random mini games thrown together and stolen from Infinite Wealth and Ishin. So you can get daddy points, so you can get fucking good boy points in the same way that every single side content has been structured in this series recently. The individual stories with the kids are now just kind of replaced with, oh, you got enough good boy points from sewing or from farming or from doing math homework. Congratulations, now you can see a small cutscene instead of like an actual sub story with each kid. The combat. Okay. The combat is worse than Yakuza 3, and I don't care what anyone fucking says. I'm sorry. Yakuza 3 is not that bad. Yakuza 3 has good combat. Mikhail has just started typing. Yakuza 3 has good combat. Okay, my problem, and I'll not like go on for too long about this because I really could, and I'm excited for Mikhail to read my review because I fucking explode about how shit the combat is. Yakuza 3's combat is difficult, and sometimes it errs towards difficult brackets annoying. You get those feelings of like, wait, what did I even do wrong? Which happens sometimes. I confess that. But it's engaging because it's difficult, and Kiryu's moveset actually has some thought through it. You know what you're doing. There's like an idea of what each move, each finisher does. I enjoy it. Truly, I enjoy it. There's an understandable criticism to give on the remastered version and the frame rate issues breaking quick steps. That's a minor thing, but it affects a lot of the game. But Yakuza 3's combat is good. Yakuza Kiwami 3's combat isn't. It is mindless. It is genuinely designed for you to be able to beat the game without thinking. There is an interview with Yokoyama, which I will quickly link here, where he says, yeah, you could probably clear the game if you held the controller backwards and pressed the buttons. It might not result in good play, but at least you'd be able to perform some cool actions. And he's completely right. You could beat this game with your eyes closed, with your ears plugged, with gloves over your hands. Like, it is so brainless and mindless. And the dragon style is a mess of 3's dragon, 6's dragon, 0's beast, Gaiden's agent, which is just so stupid. The Ryukyu style is a bunch of shit pulled from Infinite Wealth. I can't believe they finally gave Kiryu a weapon style, and it's this shit. I hate the combat. I really hate the combat. Dragon Boost is fucking stupid. Dragon Boost is just, what if we put bounding throws behind extreme heat again, but also you couldn't make the choice to use them. Also, you get a free heat move at the end of it that there is no reason not to use. Remember when you had to make intelligent choices in this combat? Because I sure fucking don't. Yeah, the combat sucks. The combat is awful, and for a game that is coming after 6, then Kiwami 2, then Judgment, then Lost Judgment, then Gaiden, I'm really pissed. And Pirate Yakuza, I guess. I'm really pissed that the combat sucks. Because it's like there was a little hill that was finally inclining from 6 to Gaiden. Obviously peaking at Lost Judgment, because we're never getting Lost Judgment's combat again. And then this has just plummeted immediately. It's so awful. I truly, and Mikhail will be mad at me for this, I think Kiwami 3's Dragon style, I'm not mentioning Ryukyu style because it's fucking stupid and awful. Kiwami 3's Dragon style feels worse than Kiwami 2's Dragon style, which I'm aware is
possible.
I know.
Oh,
I
man.
know that's quite a statement, but it feels
that's crazy.
Really fucking bad. I'll stop there. I've said enough.
I didn't know that was possible.
I just have one comment on the comment, because I'm only like 2 hours into Kiwami 3, so the combat's really all I can talk about, other than, when we go into more story stuff later, is that I didn't love Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, but I really had no issues with the combat, like, technical level. Like, I felt like it was responsive. It felt like it was doing what it was intending to do. But in Kiwami 3, I'm like, am I misremembering something? Was it always like it feels laggy? Like it feels like just you press an
Yeah.
input and then it takes Kiryu forever to like actually engage with the input. I'm like, okay, maybe there's something technical set up with my controller or something. But no, I do like the karaoke and it's fine. Like it's not input lag and that's it. It's something to do with just the technical basis around the combat itself with the animations or with the models or something. It just feels like I press an input, a sequence of inputs, and then I watch Kiryu do them, and like by a half second or something. And I'm like, I don't remember Pirate Yakuza or Gaiden feeling like this. So it's something bespoke here, and I don't know. I can't put my finger on why it feels off, but it just does. So I've gotten far enough that I could feel that. That's
There
all the comment
was
is.
there was a comment that I eventually edited out of my VGC review for like length because I didn't feel like it was vital, but I described the Ryukyu style as feeling like Mortal Kombat strings, like dialer combos where
About
you
to mention
like,
dialogue combos too. When you meant after
yeah,
Brian's
that's what
comment,
the Ryukyu
yes.
style feels like. It's awful. There's no responsiveness. You just like, yeah, it feels like you're inputting strings rather than inputting actual actions individually. Yeah, I'm sad I edited that out ultimately because I think it's the best way I could find to describe it, to insult it, basically.
Okay. So yeah, I've heard a lot of the complaints about combat too, and like that's yeah really disappointing because I'm with you too, Ashley. Where I I can see why people dislike Yakuza original Yakuza 3's combat, especially with the enemies blocking too much. Even though you have a grab button for that reason in that game to
Mm.
respond to that. But at least when you went into combat, yes, here you felt stiff because you were still getting used to the PS3 and adapting that, but it still felt responsive when you pressed the button compared to how you guys
Mm.
are describing it here, where it doesn't seem like that. It's like yes, it's stiff, but it's still responsive when you press a button. Mm. But
I think. Sorry, go
go
on.
for it.
Go on.
No, go on.
Uh,
Go on.
Um, the only thing I was gonna say, just as like a Yakuza 3 Kiwami 3 thing, is that yes, enemies do block in Yakuza 3 more than in the other games. I will completely admit that. But as you say, yes, you have grab for various reasons. What an idea that you have to do something other than pressing X and Y. But if the problem with Yakuza 3 is that enemies block too much, which I don't agree with, but let's just take that as truth. Kiwami 3 enemies don't interact with you. There's a real bad case of like one enemy will attack every 5 seconds while the other ones do absolutely nothing. Um, it's so strange that like they barely even dodge or attack or block or do anything. They are just damage sponges and just test dummies for you to hit with your shit ass styles. It's so non-interactive. Combat isn't fun. And combat isn't fun partly because of how Kiryu feels, but also because of like the other side of the combat. The people you're fighting do nothing. There's no engagement. It's infuriating because like it's just so much worse than the other brawler games, and it's really noticeable.
It sounds like almost that reminded me
And
of like old Assassin's Creed, the way you described it. Only not brawler style,
I
but
was gonna say like N64 Zelda games, if you Z target on a Lizalfos, the other three will just dance around and do nothing, like in 1996 or something like that. A game not heralded for its combat. So,
the
but yeah,
other
like Assassin's
thing,
Creed also.
yeah, the other big addition to Kiwami 3. I mean, there's other things with the Kiryu campaign of in Kiwami 3 that obviously got added, but another like significant addition they put onto this is the main primary antagonist Yoshitaka Mine got this Dark Ties like sort of mini campaign, sort of like as a free part of this packaged where he's the playable character in it. And this was already like one thing I was already super worried about when the announcement goes like, I hope they don't ruin Mine's characters. Because Mine is one of my favorite
Oh
antagonists in
no.
the whole Yakuza series. Like he is bar none like one of my favorites. And when they started introducing like, hey, we're a part of this Dark Ties campaign is rehabilitating the reputation of, I forgot the character's name, Mine's buddy. That you
Tsuyoshi Kanda.
Yeah, Kanda. And I'm like, oh, what are they doing with this? So kind of tee us up, Ashley, here about this Dark Ties new campaign that they added on, and what you do and your general takeaway from it.
Okay, well, this. Oh my god. Okay, so Tsuyoshi Kanda is in Yakuza 3 and Kiwami 3, like the main games, I mean, a piece of shit. He is absolutely fucking deplorable, and you're supposed to hate him this much. He's horrible. He's fucking awful to his men and his family. There's a very explicit, well, it's not explicit because it's behind a wall, but also there's a scene where he very blatantly rapes a woman, and it's kind of played for like, it's not played for laughs, but it's kind of like, wow, look how bad this guy is, which like it succeeds in, you know. And at one point in the story, Mine, after basically getting what he wants out of Kanda, murders him, which is really the best thing that could have happened to him. So Kanda is deplorable. You're supposed to hate him. And he dies for his sins, essentially. Dark Ties has the incredible choice of making, like, basically being set as a prequel while Mine is buddy-buddy with Kanda. And in Dark Ties, it is very heavily implied that Mine does not actually care for Kanda at all. He's using him to get ahead and to get a leg up in the Nishikiyama family. But the way that it's actually framed, and this is partly because RGG realized they have no fucking side content in the game, and needed to desperately create some, is that Mine's main side content in Dark Ties is Kanda damage control, in which Mine is burdened with trying to clean up the reputation of Kanda, because Kanda went to prison for sex crimes and rapes women, and this is a very known thing, and he's just generally a massive chauvinist, and like, he's kind of presented as this silly, hot-headed buddy to Mine in Dark Ties, and Mine going around Kamurocho and, you know, saving cats from trees and giving people bento boxes and doing general, like, Yakuza bullshit busy work is all so that you can represent Kanda around the city and have people like him more, which reads pretty fucking badly. Because personally, I don't want to do side content to make a sex pest look better. And you may, you know, maybe some people are connecting lines in their head right now. It's interesting that Kiwami 3 includes a mode in which one of the characters cleans up the reputation of a known sex pest, considering Teruyuki Kagawa has been cast in Kiwami 3. I don't even know what more I can say on that. Like, it's fucking
Galaxy
disgusting.
Brain move from RGG Studio when constructing this product. Just
I can't believe that Kagawa wasn't cast as Kanda. Like, you're fucking method acting. Like, it's so disgusting. Sorry, it's just, it's so bad.
Yeah, and you know it's such a weird thing overall. I mean, but at least was controlling Mine at least any fun at all during this?
Mine is slightly more fun than Kiryu, I would say.
Okay.
Kiryu feels like a chimera of a bunch of bullshit thrown together. Mine at least feels like a character with a style. Like, Mine kind of feels like a Yakuza 4 character to me, when they were figuring out, like, how to design movesets that weren't Kiryu. Like, Mine for me falls somewhere between, like, Saejima in 4 in terms of being quite clunky, and they're still trying to figure stuff out, and Yagami in Judgment, which has similar issues, but I think Yagami had a pretty good starting point in Judgment that was then improved in its sequel. I think Mine's combat is better, which is a very low bar considering Kiryu's is garbage. But it's better. Like, you know, it's not his boss moveset from 3 or Kiwami 3. It's something a little bit different. And I think it is fun. He has enemy step from DMC for some reason, which is almost good, but okay, so for reference, like Mine jumps onto enemies and you can do various follow-ups, like a Superman punch, like a area sweep kick, like a grab. It's a cool idea. It's similar to like Yagami's wall jumping, but you can do it off enemies now. The problem is that you have to hold down circle to activate it. So what should be something that you can like transition into out of like rush combos to, finish a rush combo and then jump on the next enemy. There's like a solid second delay between you finishing whatever action you're previously doing, finishing the end lag of it, and then going into enemy step, which makes it feel really bad. And then Mine has Extreme Heat as well. He has Dark Awakening, which is a cool idea in the notion that like Mine is letting loose and letting the evil inside him out and whatever other bullshit. He breaks chains in the UI element to do Dark Awakening. It's so on the nose. It's so stupid. It's so edgy. It's
Pretty
such
edgy 5 for me.
garbage.
Yep.
It doesn't. The thing for me is that like if you were doing that with I don't even know. You could do that with like a character like Majima in Zero, for example. It would make sense there because Majima is putting on this like presentation of being very professional in Zero and being a cabaret manager, and there are occasionally moments where like pure like rage and violence come out. So it would make sense for a character like him. Mine doesn't have that. Mine is just psychotic in a very controlled way. Like Mine, and as he does in the game, will stab a guy's hand while just being very calm about it. It doesn't fit him at all, and it annoys me because it's just like a complete misunderstanding of his character, which is also true for Dark Ties, in general, and Kiwami 3's ending, and Dark
So
Ties
I was
ending.
gonna I was gonna get into like before we get into that.
Mm.
I know some people got rubbed the wrong way because when they were promoting this game, they tried to promote Dark Tides like this new feature like full length news thing
Yeah,
that they were
no.
adding on, and it seems like that it's only maybe slightly longer than like the Majima saga in Kiwami 2. Without getting into that ending, was at least the journey fulfilling in any way that like fleshed out Mina in any meaningful way, or just like, oh man, they really missed the mark with the characterization of like one of the best antagonists in the series.
Absolutely fucking not. Dark Ties. Okay, so yes, you're right. First of all, that Dark Ties is basically the Majima Saga. The problem is that the Majima Saga is very short. And I don't. Okay, to be clear, I'm not revising history here. The Majima Saga is not great, but it does know what it is. It is a very short side campaign that exists for Yakuza 0 fan service to show Makoto Makimura again, and to have a little story where, Majima's earning too much for the Tojo, whatever. It's 3 hours of a little Majima story and wrapping up something from Zero, and that's it. There's no side content. You just do the story, and that's it, and you have a nice little time.
It's not in the title of the Steam package. Yeah.
It sure isn't. No. Yeah, Dark Ties was sold as a separate game, 2 games in one, Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties, which is not fucking true. I would honestly hesitate to even say that the product you buy has 1 game in it, considering how shit Kiwami 3 is. But Dark Ties is a short side story set before Yakuza 3, following Mine going from apparently being the CEO of a tech startup, which, sure, man, whatever. He gets voted out by his own board, and then goes down a dark path, whatever. And he meets Kanda, and he tries to use Kanda to get into the Yakuza because a guy called Daigo Dojima, who he happened to run into one time, really impressed him by how much his men, like his subordinates, seem to value his life over theirs and sacrifice themselves for him without a second thought. Amina is like, why would anyone care for anyone else that much? Why would anyone ever have that kind of devotion for someone? I need to understand. I need to meet Daigo Dojima. And what follows is a lot of scenes where Mine and Daigo just kind of don't get on, and there's no reason for Mine to feel the way he does in Yakuza 3 about Daigo. It doesn't expand on that, and it actually damages it, because, if you leave stuff up to interpretation like you do in Yakuza 3, it implies that there is some storied history between Mine and Daigo that we just can't see. Dark Tides tries to show that, and completely fucks it, because Yakuza 3, Mine's motivation is primarily built around his admiration and a capital L homosexual gay love for Daigo Dojima, and I really emphasize that, because Dark Ties doesn't include that, and it runs away. Any notion of positive feeling towards Daigo from Mine is very explicitly described as admiration and reverence, and just feeling strongly for him as like a leader of men. There's nothing about love. He does not love Daigo in Dark Ties, which is insane, because like that is his whole fucking deal. He's one of the only queer characters in the series. He's certainly the only queer main character, and we're just getting rid of that because it's icky, and we don't want gay people in these games, which I'll get onto maybe. And it pisses me off massively, because like, I don't think Dark Ties needs to exist, but if you're going to do a prequel story with Mine, this is the worst way you could do it. Nothing of value happens at all. Nothing that happens here has any effect on Yakuza 3, in the future. And the things that do happen damage Mine's characterization and make him less interesting, because he just seems like kind of an idiot, because they felt the need to explain absolutely everything. And also, where they did explain things, they again damaged the relationship between Daigo and Mine.
I love it.
Daigo. I mean, listen, Freudian slip. Yeah, Dark Ties is worthless. Kiwami 3 is worthless. Can we talk about the ending?
So we're almost there. I will mention a few more things, because with Kiwami 3, there are some other things that are worth mentioning. One, they got rid of Kamaki for whatever reason.
They did do that.
One of the biggest, persistent characters to Kiryu's journey, for some, much more generic way to build up Kiryu. They got rid of obviously a lot of people get hung up on the number of they reduced the number of sub stories from 100 to 37 or whatever, but admittedly there are definitely some sub stories in Yakuza 3 were definitely filler-ish, and it's smaller scoped and such, but they did definitely cut out some very significant sub stories, like one that's the wrestling mask sub story from what I heard, and also one the murder in the Alps. I forgot exactly the
Murder at Cafe Alps is
Cafe
gone.
Alps. Yeah, that's a really big one. And I know this really means a lot of excluding some of these sub stories, and I want to give you the stage, Ashley, to kind of go into it, because I know for sure there's definitely some stories that resonated with you that they cut entirely in Kiwami 3.
Yes. My God. Okay, so what absolutely destroys me about sub-stories in Kiwami 3 is what has been removed and what has been added back. Added in new is sure as hell not equal. So as you mentioned, Murder at Cafe Alps is gone, which is a real shame, because Murder at Cafe Alps is really cool and is maybe one of the most involved sub-stories they've ever done. Dragon Mask, the whole wrestling scene with Rikiya, Kiryu, and Taichi is gone, which is depressing, because that was really important to the relationship between Rikiya and the kids, and Taichi getting into wrestling, which is why he becomes a firefighter to protect people. That was a real thing. That was a story element that went into 6 and Gaiden, and we're just ignoring that, and it just doesn't exist anymore. Silver Screen Dragon is gone, which was a very, very cute idea of Kiryu going and basically reenacting Kenzan. He walks onto a samurai film set and is not Sakamoto Ryoma, Miyamoto Musashi He just walks in and it's just like, hey, you look like you could play Musashi, which is a joke, obviously, on Kenzan, which was very cute and had like bespoke cutscenes as well. Something big that I'm missing. Oh, Yakuza Sunset? No, wait, that was in Kiwami 2. Ignore me. Sorry, I'm making shit up. I'm getting my sub-stories confused. The thing that I do want to talk about, that is definitely in Yakuza 3, and is not in Kiwami 3. So, original Yakuza 3 had something very strange, which is that it had one sub-story, which was very kind and empathetic and sensitive towards trans women, and features Kiryu sitting down with a woman named Ayaka, who gradually opens up to him and explains, yeah, I don't feel comfortable in myself. I don't know how to be myself around people because I was born male and I shouldn't have been, and I really struggle in my womanhood. And Kiryu like takes his time, tries to understand. It's new to him, but he tries to understand and he empathizes with her. And there's a line in there that's like, everyone has their own struggles. Yours are just bigger than a lot of other people's, which is very Kiryu, which is very kind, which is truly very good. Yakuza 3 also had an incredibly transphobic sub-story, which basically had a trans woman who was played for complete comedy in the kind of like autogenophilia kind of way, of like man dressing up as a woman for sexual satisfaction kind of thing, like chasing after Kiryu, and it was very gross. That one was removed in Yakuza 3 Remastered, which came out in 2021, and maintained the actually good one that isn't horrible. Yakuza Kiwami 3 does not include the sub-story with a trans woman in it. And listen, I'm biased. Forgive me. I care about this a bit. But holy shit, really? Like,
Yeah, come on. That's like one of the
you're okay with just that not being there?
that's like one of the best ones in there. Like straight up, like not even just fronting. It's incredibly impactful because it shows you like the characterization of Kiryu as a
Yes.
like being an icon of masculinity in video games, but still, masculinity doesn't mean that you can't be empathetic, vulnerable, understanding.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
the whole reason people loved him for so long.
Yes.
Is it's like he's been an example of like non-toxic masculinity, like showing emotions, letting like emotions other than anger, like letting him like cry tears and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, man,
Yeah.
And it's actually disappointing just because you talked about the change that they made between the original release and remastered, and then this is the reversal of progress. Like, it's not
Yeah,
holding
it's the
steady,
fact that
it's
they
reversal progress.
clearly realized, oh fuck, we should not include that again. That was a massive mistake. And then yeah, it's completely fine to just get rid of the good one. Fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah.
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 And if I may talk about one sub story that is in the game and
Absolutely.
is new quickly. I'm just trying to find I'll keep speaking, but I'm trying to find a clip that I took of it. There is a sub story that is completely new where Kiryu happens to so this is Yakuza 3. It's set in 2009. And Kiryu walks past two street vendors who are trying to scam him, as often happens in Yakuza games. And they're trying to sell him a new modem to speed up his internet, to let him access the World Wide Web and information and news and scandals and whatever. And Kiryu doesn't fall for it. And he's like, well, I don't know if I trust the internet because it sounds like anyone can just post whatever they want. I think you should check your sources before blindly believing stuff that people say online or on the news. Which is a very Kiryu thing to say. You should check your sources and not just blindly believe things. That's Kazuma Kiryu. And he's about to walk away and one of the con men says, "Oh, but if you get this modem, you can go on the internet and you can see free, sexy pictures of luscious ladies." And Kiryu turns around and goes, "Really? For free?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, you can look up all of the like scantily clad women you want." And Kiryu's like, "Oh, maybe I should get a modem." And it's just like, it's so weirdly chauvinistic. Like, it comes out of fucking nowhere because, like, it doesn't line up with the rest of Kiryu's character for him to be like, "Oh, free sexy pictures of women? I'm in. Let's go." Like, it's so juvenile. There's also,
Okay.
like, another part of the game where there's the love hotel scene from the original in the main story where you go and fight Kanda. And in the original game, there was a bit where what's it called? Kiryu would open the doors to these various love hotel rooms, and you'd walk in on people in various stages of intimacy. There was a sight gag every time. In Kiwami 3, they're not there. You just go into rooms, and it's just Yakuza guys. You just do fights. Except for one, where you open the door, and there is a point of view shot from Kiryu of a woman who is just in a bikini, sat on a bed, and the camera zooms into her chest, and that's it. That's the whole, and then you leave. And it's just like, what? What game am I fucking playing? What did a fucking 15-year-old boy like write and design this? And if I may, can I talk about Bad Boy Dragon?
Sure.
The biker side mode.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Bad Boy Dragon is the main side content of Kiwami 3, outside of Morning Glory, like taking care of the orphanage, which has Kiryu take the lead of a gala gang of bikers, which is like, it's kind of reused from Lost Judgment. It's whatever. It's kind of, the actual gameplay sucks, but that's not my point. You expect that. Of course it sucks. The problem for me is that it's very weirdly misogynistic in a way that, like, almost feels like there's no way they could have missed it. So, as with many Yakuza side modes, it's introduced in the main story by Kiryu stumbling into something. And what he stumbles into is these two girls in this biker gang being beat up by members of a male rival biker gang. Kiryu beats them up because he's Kiryu. And, he's presented as, like, the savior of these defenseless biker gals. The problem is that the game then follows that up by trying to make the point of, like, these girls are trying to hold their weight against the rest of the biker gangs being male, and, that being female is, like, what brings them together and makes them strong, and that, they can stand up against the inherent patriarchy of this hobby, of this, like, field together. Which is a good message, but is very undercut by how it was just presented, because they are helpless, basically. And they need big, strong Kiryu to come in. So inexplicably, because he was, proud, because they were, like, proud of him for saving them and, like, trust him now, the current leader of the gang asks Kiryu to be the leader of the gang. And Kiryu, very understandably, is like, "I'm a dude. I don't think you can be a gal gang if I'm the head of it." And the next line is, "Oh, well, no, it's not your gender that matters, it's your guts." And then the next line is, I hate this so much. "Heck yeah, now that's what I call diversity. How progressive."
Oh my
Which is,
God.
yeah,
Oh my
which is,
God.
You're not
which is,
paraphrasing. Is that
no,
how it
I'm
is?
not.
Like,
That is the exact
ugh.
line. It's not
It
subtle.
sounds
It's really gross.
it sounds like something that, like, a really talented writer could it sounds like a setup that could be a slam dunk if it was written carefully and well, and it just wasn't. It was missed. Like, it feels like the setup has promise, but executed so poorly the way you've described it.
Yeah, and this continues into the mode itself, which has, because it's basically stealing the multi-man fights from Gaiden, you have Kiryu being like you have multi-man fights where you have like your whole gang, all of these girls behind you and like fighting, with you, but they don't matter because only Kiryu is Kiryu and has like an insane moveset, and they're basically all just like cannon fodder. And what you have is Kiryu, this middle-aged old man, he's middle-aged in 3, taking over a gal gang and becoming the only important part of it. And I don't know, like, that feels kind of fucking bad to me. Also, there's a scene in which basically the writers kind of came into a trap that they weren't sure how to get out of, where one of the rival gangs has a woman at the head of it. And as you would expect, with this being a Yakuza game, Kiryu has to punch the leader of the rival gang so they change their mind and join your crew. That's how these modes go. And so, you encounter this conundrum of, hold on, we can't have Kiryu punch a woman, but we want, the leader of this gang to be a woman. What are we going to do? The answer, apparently, is to have this woman beaten to death, like half to death, sorry, off screen by another male biker member, because, we can't have her have any actual agency and have her maybe like fight Kiryu, for example, which she's clearly capable of fighting herself. And I'm so tired of this idea that like Kiryu can't hit women, because A, it's not been true through the series. He fucking slaps Haruka. And B, it exists entirely to say women are defenseless and Kiryu would lay them out in one punch. Like that's what it means. And I hate it. And it increasingly is like a problem in the series because it ends up kind of looping back around to being awful. Yeah, I mean, I've just spent half an hour talking about how women are treated in this game, which is really fucking badly.
Yeah, I mean,
and I gotta say, like, listen, there, final thing, but like, there has been understandable comments from a lot of people saying that Yakuza has had some kind of, not subtle, but ingrained misogyny bubbling under the surface for a lot of it. Which I can't fully disagree with. I agree that like there are elements of it that I really wish weren't there and are a result of men writing men and women. But this is, I think, the worst that it's been. Like, I think outside of Lost Judgment, or maybe just Judgment, I can't remember which one, having 40-year-old Yagami dating 18 to 20-year-old women in, that's not great. I think this is the worst. It's the most obvious that they just, like, do not think anything of women, are quite happy making jokes out of the entire gender. Again, like, I really can't get over the fucking, what's it called? Now that's what I call diversity. How progressive. Like, you guys, you know what you're fucking doing, and you're a piece of shit. Like, that's gross and
that's really
knowing
disappointing.
and deliberate.
Really, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I'm really baffled that a line like that exists in that context of like how it's presented. It's like it's like you almost deliberately misunderstood the whole culture of why this is an issue in society.
Yes.
It's just
and
insane.
On the individual level as well, there is an understandable repeated comment across a lot of people of like, do these writers know who Kiryu is? Because I don't think they do. I think they're using Kiryu as like a self-insert to be misogynistic, which is quite famously not what he is. You have like, there's literally a line where Kiryu's like, oh yeah, the worst thing I can imagine, it didn't Kiwami 3, like the worst thing I can imagine is a man laying hands on a woman. That's unforgivable. And it's like, I mean, it's in the game where all of that I've just described happens, and clearly you guys don't actually care about women at all. But also, the game where Teruyuki Kagawa is cast and you do damage control for Tsuyoshi Kanda. Like, I think you guys are pretty chill, actually, with men who put hands on women. You seem okay with it, to be honest. And one thing that upsets me, if I may just say one more thing, is that, like, I know I keep saying one more thing like a fucking Nintendo
You're
Direct,
totally
but,
fine. You're totally fine.
We do this weekly. Don't worry about it.
okay, fair. What was I gonna say? Fuck, I lost my train of thought. Never mind. Don't worry about
If it comes back to you, just bring it up.
Yeah, just blurt it out if it comes back to you. Don't worry about it. But like, yeah, the only
It
other
does
thing
kind of feel like
go for it.
you
Yeah.
go first, then I'll follow you.
I said the only other thing I was going to mention before, maybe we tackled the ending stuff was like they also took out disappointingly like Revelations was Yakuza 3
Yeah.
like very special thing in that time frame because it was Kiryu, being the old man that he is, trying to get a grip of technology and getting this flip phone and like this is how you learn new abilities, and that game was like just randomly capturing bizarre shit that like you encountered. It was a very it was a flavoring that like it's very Yakuza-esque. It's very like this is the thing that's kind of what makes the series special is like they find interesting creative ways to illustrate the absurdity in an otherwise not absurd premise, and it's like it's very seamless and very charming, and you just strip that out and it's like come on, so just another and obviously relatively to other things that happen to this, relatively minor, but it's just a death by 1,000 cuts, in this case like almost 1,000,000 cuts, but
Yeah. Kiwami 3 to me is like, I really gave it a thought, and I really, I was playing through the game, and I was making notes on my phone. I have these very long, like, notes app pages that I make when reviewing something, and I looked through it when I first finished a draft of the review, and I thought, do I have anything positive to say about this game? And I don't. There is nothing. This is empty. It's shit. It's insulting. It is the worst thing that RGG have ever put out. It is one of the worst games I've ever played. And it's insane that it's released in current year in the state that it has, and people are still gonna fucking buy it, and no one gives a shit. That's what bothers me the most, by the way. That's what I was gonna say. I remembered. I haven't seen many people bring up the misogyny, and it really bothers me because it's really prevalent. And look, I get it. I'm a woke transgender. I understand that, like, I'm gonna think that, but it's not subtle. You don't have to read into the game to find these, like, implicit, oh, I don't know if that's great about women. Like, that line I mentioned is in the main story. You can't avoid it. And I haven't seen, like, there's one other critic who I've spoken to, Hiro de Maro, who I was speaking to, like, during the pre-release period because we were both reviewing it, and both of us were, like, losing our shit of, like, how the fuck is this in the game? I'm horrified. And I haven't seen any other review bring this up. I haven't seen any other commentary that isn't just, like, people on Blue Sky bringing it up. I've seen people mention, like, the removal of the what's it called? Like the woman, the sub story, sorry, featuring the trans woman in it, which is very good. That being gone, I've seen people mention that, but I truly have not seen any mention of how misogynistic this game is. And I don't, like someone said at the start, like, this game, even outside of Kagawa, outside of everything to do with that, is garbage. This game is garbage outside of Kagawa, outside of misogyny. But it's a pretty big part of it, unfortunately.
it's kind of it's not something that you just like ignore it, like it's
no,
not,
like even
if you
if
have to
you wanted
separate
to be
it,
like,
it's impossible.
yeah, if you wanted to be like, oh, the game sucks on its like gameplay, it's like, yeah, okay, but also, do you have like, are you playing the game with your eyes and ears open? How are you missing this? Like, what? I don't know.
Brian, you wanted to say something?
what was it? It was just like kind of a comment where, it's almost like they got like a cliff notes of who Kiryu is. Oh, Kiryu is disgusted at the thought of hitting a woman. Like you talk about that, and they hold to that, but they don't think about like why would that be? What type of person would
Yeah.
hold that belief? And they just treat it like some axiom that has to be true, but they don't think about the context of why or how would that person act in another situation. It seems like a very surface level understanding of a character. Like, yeah, that's what Kiryu would say, but then they have him like, you know, not push back against being appointed the leader of a female biker gang, or the sub story that you just described about the internet service being able to, how would a person like that be convinced by that sales pitch that you described? Like, it just feels like a very surface level. I say surface level understanding, but more like a surface level misunderstanding, just more like
Yeah.
flanderization of a character without any like, you know, nuance or context to it. It's really disappointing to hear that described that way. That was my only comment. Is after when you talked about, yeah, they held true to this one thing, but without anything around it. And you talk about, well, besides, the miscast of the character, well, then you see like all the other decisions made, like, oh, of course the studio would make that decision like that because look at all the other decisions that they've also made that just show you where they're coming from. Like nothing happens in a vacuum, right? So
Yeah.
you try to ignore one thing, but then you realize, oh, you can't because it also crops up in a different fashion here, and how this story is added or this story is removed, or how this one plays out, or how the characterization's done poorly here, and it all just kind of it interlinks in that way. It's disappointing to hear.
People, yeah,
And
and I
it's
think we're definitely closing in on like what we want to talk about is this, obviously
Mhm.
the new ending that they
All right, we'll
included.
put
But
a spoiler tag on the
yeah,
timestamp here. Yeah.
I do want to mention, like, as we close in on that, like, actually, you mentioned, like, don't dismiss yourself as just like, the a woke transgender perspective, because that is something, especially on this podcast, that we cherish. We're eternally grateful that you were able to share your perspective on it. We welcome people, you know, to provide these perspectives, because in the absence of, I personally cannot, and I think that's like very, very critically important, that like that is the perspective that we need, to provide,
yeah, I mean,
input on
to
that.
be
And
clear,
thank you
I
so
I am
much.
being like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I'm
know, I
being
know.
jokingly unfair to myself, don't worry. But like,
No,
um
but I don't. But I want you to know that, like, we celebrate and uplift that. We don't dismiss that.
yeah, I think to my knowledge, Lexi, who I think reviewed Kiwami 3 for Gamer Guides question mark. Um, I'm pretty sure that's accurate. And Hiero, the only trans journalist who reviewed Kiwami 3. And I think that's a shame, because I think that unfortunately there very much are people who don't care about the removal of that sub story, for example, because it's not about them. And, frankly, I'm willing to say I do care because it's about me.
Yes, absolutely.
That's, yeah, like, I'm like a single issue voter on Yakuza 3. Like, don't fucking remove that. Like, what is wrong with you? Um, yeah, look, I'll always be, the friend who's too woke, and that's kind of my career. I mean, I wrote the Kagawa piece in like October or November, um, or September maybe, I'm not sure. And that was when that was quite unreported. Like I got in there like before a lot of other outlets, because no one really cared. They were like, "Oh, this Kagawa guy is kind of like cancelable." Oh well, and that was just kind of it, And yeah, I hold a lot of things to a high moral standard, and that includes my series, my Scrunklos, my Yakuza, whatever. Like,
Raising awareness is
shit's
good. Factual information, raising awareness. Like, hey, uh, yell it if you see it. Straight
yeah.
up.
I had this interview, sorry, with Aftermath recently, and one of the things that I said in there is that, like, despite this being my favorite series, I'm not gonna buy any more of these games. I'm kind of done. And that doesn't take away, obviously, there is the eternal truth of that doesn't take away the experiences you've had. It doesn't remove, the experiences you had in 2020 or whatever. That's all true, right? But I really don't see myself playing Kiwami 4 or Like a Dragon 9 or Stranger Than Heaven. Like, I just don't understand. Like, unless, I don't know, various staff members are removed and things change massively. And the reason I've accepted this is because I know neither of those things are happening. I don't know. I see no way in which I'm just kind of big chilling with this studio anymore.
That's totally fair.
It,
That's
yeah, it just makes me
100%.
sad.
100%.
Really.
Is there anything else that any of us would like to add on before we put the big spoiler warning on what obviously has to be discussed with this release? Is there anything else?
I have one funny thing to mention,
Okay.
which I realized I haven't. I'm gonna just put this in the but it's is it funny? Probably not, but it's like funny brackets horrible. In the original Yakuza 3, there is a scene where there's a Tojo clan meeting and Go Hamazaki is talking to Kanda and he says, oh, I mean, yeah, didn't you miss that? Weren't you busy doing time for sex crimes during that period? And just put this in the channel because that line, ridiculing someone for being imprisoned for sex crimes, is spoken by Teruyuki Kagawa Hamazaki, and that is a fucking flashbang to experience.
Yep.
That's all. I lost my mind seeing this happen.
There's no way they developed this game without knowing. There's no zero, like it's impossible. There's no way. Yeah, it's disgusting. What else can you say, really? What else can you say? So Mikhail and the rest of the audience who do want to go into Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Tides unspoiled of the ending, I will give you now the spoiler warning. So obviously when this episode goes up, we'll give you a timestamp on when we're out of the spoiler territory. Well, obviously we'll let Mikhail know in our staff chat when he can re-enter the discussion because he wants to be unspoiled about it, which is totally fine. But we will now be discussing the ending to Kiwami 3 and Dark Tides because it is a new ending that they included, and it's very, very controversial. But I will lay it out. Here's just final spoiler warning. I will describe what they included in it now. So, in the original Yakuza 3, the fate of the antagonist Yoshitaka Mine basically dies when he falls off the hospital building at the end of Yakuza 3, where the final confrontation happens, and so forth. And the ending of Yakuza 3 also ends with Kiryu getting shanked by Hamazaki, and it leaves it on that. Basically, it's like, oh man, Kiryu got shanked, and is he okay? But a lot of that remains unresolved until Yakuza 4. But now in Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties, when Mine falls off the hospital building, I guess he falls into a bush, and one of the members of the Daidoji faction that gets introduced in, the man who erased his name, basically recruits Mine because he's apparently makes a recovery from the fall of the roof of the hospital building into a bush, and now the shanking of Kiryu does not occur because Mine, who has joined the Daidoji faction and has let go of his Mine name, so he's another man who erased his name, tells Hamazaki, hey, don't go and shank Kiryu. And there's like a whole 3 to 4 minute exchange between Mine and Hamazaki, of like Mine telling Hamazaki, don't go through with this. And Ashley, I'll let you take the stage here of like whether you want to go more into depth of like anything that I might have glossed over, and obviously how this really puts another scathing mark on this remake endeavor.
Okay, my incredibly hot take here is that I actually don't care that much that Mine's alive.
Okay.
That's really not my problem. To be clear, I think changing the story like this is fucking stupid. Just at a base level, just you're doing a remake. Don't retcon massive plot points that have butterfly effects onto the later games, because as we've now seen, if they end up doing anything Kiwami 4 or some kind of remake of 4, you can't do the story now. So that's my issue. Mine being alive, what fucking ever. Like, it's not gonna go anywhere. Like, sure, Mine lives, they care about the Daidoji. Yokoyama really fucking wants people to care about the Daidoji, and I don't, because they're introducing Gaiden as an antagonistic force, and then they just kind of stopped existing in Infinite Wealth. Well, sorry, they were introduced in 6, and I wish they just stopped in 6, because, like, you know, Kiryu trading the truth of his survival for servitude is actually kind of interesting, and then Infinite Wealth just kind of made them idiots.
I still cry at the end of 6, like the letter to Daigo at the end of 6.
Yeah, me
That still
too.
makes me cry. Like
Yeah.
that is one of the most beautiful endings. Before we continue, I know I want to give Brian a chance to speak as well, because he also wanted to chime in.
Yeah, like my history with the series sounds like it's sort of similar. Like I started with 0 and I've played everything since. So I've not played the original 1 and 2, but I have played the original 3 remastered. And unfortunately, like Mine surviving is just like anyone could have predicted this, because we already saw it with spoilers for other games in the series. Kashiwagi, Richardson, others. I'm surprised you didn't say Ricky has survived and took his name away. Like I don't know. Like it's one of those things. Like, well, of course Mine survived. Like I could have guessed that, and not to besmirch that it happened or that you're sharing it, but it just seems like this is what RGG is doing. Like I don't know. It just feels like I'm curious. Like, did they change? It's Yakuza 3, right? Where Kashiwagi gets riddled with bullets from a helicopter machine gun, but apparently he ends up
God.
as a bartender at
Yep.
Survive. Like, does it show him like crawling away and like, oh, that's how he survived? Like, I don't. It just seems like I don't know. From his,
So,
we've fallen a long way from rubber bullets in Yakuza 4 or whatever.
I can answer you on this because it blew my fucking mind. So, as described, Mine surviving is explained, you know, in a really stupid way, to be clear, by him landing in a bush and being fine and being picked up by the Dodoji, which is insane because he fell off a fucking gigantic hospital, but whatever. This was kind of previously implied, inadvertently, like indirectly, by the survival of Andre Richardson, who Mine drags off of the roof with him, and then Richardson shows up as the bartender in Infinite Wealth. So there's kind of the implication of like, wait, so is Mine the only person who died? As shown, I guess not. So both of those, both Mine and Richardson, have some kind of explanation as to why they're alive. It's fucking dumb, but it's there, I guess. Kashiwagi and Lao Kalong both get shot to death, as they were in the original. Lao Kalong gets shot through the head, as he was in the original, and Kashiwagi gets fucking shredded by a helicopter's Gatling. There is no explanation, there's no extra scene, there's nothing, as to why they're both alive as of Like a Dragon. And I was waiting for it the whole game. I was like, are you going to do it? Are you going to show me how Kashiwagi lived? Please? And they don't. So, fuck you, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry if you wanted an explanation in the only 3 remake we're doing. Get fucked.
There's a lot of ripple effects like on top of like this too, and I know you're about to get into it, but as you mentioned, Yaku, like if they were like, I know they've had like a previous event where they said that Kiwami 3 will be the last Kiwami series game, because I think they want to go to a different direction. Where if they were to remake Yakuza 4, for example, they would want it under a different brand name or a different name entirely. Like they wanna, if they were to continue with this remake endeavor, they don't want it under the Kiwami moniker for whatever reason. And maybe it's like a separate timeline thing, which is stupid because, as you said, because Hamazaki now not shanking Kiryu has a butterfly effect where Hamazaki doesn't go to prison, and Hamazaki is a very key figure in Taiga's. I forgot his name, or
Saijima.
Saijima, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
Saijima's like
history.
or like story, like him being introduced in Yakuza 4, because Hamazaki is a key figure in helping him escape prison in that. So it's like, okay, where does this what do they do in Saijima now if they were to introduce him in Yakuza 4? And actually, I know you wanted to say more on that.
Yeah, so Yakuza 4 as a story is dependent on Saejima being in prison, meeting Hamazaki, who is in prison for stabbing Kiryu in Theatre Square in the end of 3, and then breaking out of prison, and then Saejima meets Kiryu and washes up on Okinawa Beach, and there's a disgusting scene between Saejima and Haruka, and maybe this series has been bad about women the whole time. That can't happen anymore. Because Hamazaki doesn't stab Kiryu, because Mina is alive, because Mina is in the Daidoji. And look, you could have a scene where so in, I believe in Dark Ties' ending specifically, there is a scene where Mine stands outside the window of a bar that Dai goes in and stares at him and like yearns and longs for him, which I mean, fair. Daigo turns around, seems to like have some kind of like idea that Mine is there, and the classic thing happens of like Mine's gone before Daigo can turn around and see him. Wow. And you can do that and have
The
Mine
scene
survive for
composition of
that
the scene is
scene.
comical. I've seen the clip of it. It
It
is
is.
comical. Yeah, like
It
because
is.
it's like
You're
one of
right.
those. It's one of those like classic shots of like you see someone across a railway track, and then like
Yep.
you're like, who is that? And then a train passes by, and then they disappear after that train.
Yes.
It is that,
It
except
is.
without a random passerby person, like for a split
Yeah.
second, like passes by as Daigo's turning around, and then Mine's gone. Like it's like kind of that same composition. It's like, what the fuck are we doing? Like he's not a
It's
ghost.
there's like the idea of a good scene here, but it's executed really poorly. But what I was getting to is that, like,
Yeah.
if you want to do Mine being alive, fine, sure. Why is he in the Daidoji? Why is that what you went with? Really? Like, are you fucking sure? Like, that's what you want to go with? You want the main antagonist of Yakuza 3 to be tied up in this group that was interesting in Gaiden and hasn't been interesting in Infinite Wealth and stopped being relevant in Infinite Wealth because Kiryu stopped being relevant? Like, what are we doing? Who cares about the fucking Daidoji? I don't understand. And yeah, like the line of "now I'm just another man who erased his name" made me want to fucking throw something through my monitor.
I wanted to like put my head in water and never come out.
Yeah. that
It sounds like an
insulted
SNL skit or
me.
something. I don't know.
It sounds like okay. I can tell you that scene, that frame from that cutscene, leaked.
Yes,
Like
I saw
2
the
weeks
scene. Yep.
before the game came out, and I saw that. I unfortunately ended up seeing that frame before I actually finished Dark Ties, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, haha, good render. That's a good bit. Like, yeah, what if Mine comes back and
It's
he's
like
like
that, right?
another man who
That's
erased
not a
his
real
name?
thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No
like,
way,
haha,
right?
good joke, guys. And then I got to the end of Dark Ties. And I'm like, oh,
Uh-huh.
that wasn't a Blender render that someone made to make fun of RGG's writing. It actually is that bad. Oh, fuck. And I think that sums up Dark Ties for me. It feels like someone making fun of RGG's writing, except it's actually like that. especially Mine's survival, is this sounds like something you would say and describe to make fun of contemporary RGG, but they are doing it entirely straight-faced. It's just actually that terrible. Yeah, I got nothing good to say. I don't care about Mine being alive. I'm almost certain that nothing will actually happen as a result of it. Like, I'm certain that Mine's not going to come back because Like a Dragon 9 is going to do some other bullshit with Kasuga in Shanghai. Who gives a shit anymore?
Somehow cured cancer through, sheer will.
Kiri is going to come back because we can't get rid of him. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't care, ultimately, and I don't want that to be my response, but I'm so apathetic. Like, my my post, my like Blue Sky post of my review, how did I describe it? Yeah, I said I'm somewhere between dejection and fury, and I really do think that is still the best way that I can describe my feelings towards Yakuza Kiwami 3. I am so empty and hollow, and in the places where I am not empty and hollow, I am incandescent. Don't buy Yakuza Kiwami 3. Don't, please. Also, you can't even buy Yakuza 3 Remastered anymore. Lol.
I mean, you technically can, but it's like part of like a very expensive bundle, but you cannot buy it if you have any part of that expensive bundle. So just like,
it's insane.
Oh, Sega decisions have been baffling, like for a hot minute.
I think the worst part about that situation, I'm sorry if someone already mentioned it, is that like if you look at the like SteamDB and the changes to that bundle, it used to be that it was a complete year bundle. So if you had any of the games on there, you would get a discount. When they made the decision that they were going to delist Yakuza 3 Remastered separately, they also made it so that you had to buy every game in that bundle again, even if you owned anything in it. Scummy as shit.
Very bad. That's very incredibly anti-consumer. Like very hostile.
The one thing that specifically, well, not the one thing, but the main thing that specifically annoys me about this is that yes, Sega has done this before. Sega did this with Yakuza 0 Director's Cut and with the new releases of Kiwami and Kiwami 2, which are basically the same.
Like
Zero Director's Cut is worse, but is like basically the same game with like a slightly worse story because of the added cutscenes and a multiplayer mode no one cares about. It's basically the same game. So I don't think the original should have been delisted, obviously, because your only option now is buying a $50 game instead of something that's been sold for $15 for years and is 3 times the file size for some reason. And like Sonic X Shadow Generations, for example, has Sonic Generations in it. So you're still getting that game. That game is untouched other than a couple lines in the story, which it's Sonic Generations. Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Yakuza 3 Remastered are not similar games. They have almost nothing in common. They are entirely separate pieces of art and products. If you delist Yakuza 3, Yakuza Kiwami 3 does not replace it. That is just something entirely fucking different. And that infuriates me because it's not as though it's just a new version. It's an entirely different game. Yakuza Kiwami 3 has so little in common with Yakuza 3 that you can't buy Kiwami 3 to fill the space of Yakuza 3. And that disgusts me. Because again, like, if you're... What's it called? Like, if you are buying Sonic X Shadow Generations, it's like, well, I kind of wish that I could have got the original because it was cheaper and I could have, modded it or whatever. I don't think mods for Shadow Generations have been figured out yet, whatever. It's fine. It's not ideal, but you're still buying Sonic Generations. You still have the game. Kiwami 3 is just garbage and is entirely separate and different and does not replace the original, and the original is just not purchasable anymore individually for no good reason at all, and that disgusts me. because no one should buy Kiwami 3 over Yakuza 3, and now that's all you can do.
Yeah, and then
We talk-
I guess a little bit of backtrack for me personally. Like, yes, Mine surviving in this new ending is not, unexpected, but it does irk me on like a very spiritual level, because part of the reason why I respect Mine as an antagonist so much is they had the balls to at least cut off his story, and like you saw his faults in that relatively short screen time that he had in the original, where like what makes him as an interesting antagonist is that he kind of spelled the doom of the Tojo clan very early on because of their reliance on having Kiryu clean up the Tojo clan's messes, where Mine had a very progressive perspective of like, we can exist without Kiryu, we can work through this without having to rely on Kiryu. Like, I think that's what makes him such a compelling antagonist, because he actually wanted a future for the Tojo clan, despite the Tojo clan's like like Daigo's reliance on Kiryu, and Mine had a very stark perspective of like, no, we have to work through this through our own means. Stop relying on this guy, which really admired and respected that. Even though I loved Kiryu, I definitely understood his perspective. And as I grew older over time in real life, I like initially Mine was like, I didn't think much of Mine in my first playthrough of Yakuza 3 back on the PS3 when I was much younger. But when I grew older over time, I came to really respect him as I replayed Yakuza 3 again and again over the years. And I was like, oh, I get it. I understand why I really like this character and why I appreciated him. Which, it at a spiritual level, it really irks me that they kept him alive because of that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, if you have an arc finish in a game and then he dies, which is a pretty strong way of finishing an arc and making sure there isn't any more, it's pretty bad to have that arc play out the same and then just get artificially extended. It's like what happened to Kazuma Kiryu past 6, and I'm mad about this every fucking day.
Yeah. Like, I have so much to say, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Did we want to say anything else about, Kiwami 3 and Dark Tides? I know we had a very lengthy discussion, and I once again thank you, Ashley, for kind of breaking down step by step, bit by bit of like, hey, this is really annoying what they did with this in so many ways.
I mean,
The only thing I can say is, at least I see Adam owns Yakuza 3 Remastered on Steam, so I can get it from the Steam family library. They haven't disabled that. I was half expecting that they would. I played it, I think, on the Windows Store, so I also have it. But I was just thinking, like, they don't have an analog to the Steam family library. So, like, if you know someone who has Yakuza 3 Remastered, you could, rub shoulders a bit and maybe play it through Steam family sharing. I got a very thin silver
I
lining, I
agree.
suppose.
Yeah, I think if you are in a position where you can play Yakuza 3 and you haven't, I think you should, basically.
Okay, I think that will end the spoiler warning then. I will ping Mikhail saying it's okay to come back now. Okay, to come back now.
It's safe, they're all gone.
Yeah. Okay. Then that'll end our spoiler warning on the ending. So this is the timestamp that you would mark to say, hey, we're in the clear. You can come back. Ashley, did you want to say anything else about Kiwami 3 and Dark Tides before we move on?
No, I think I've got pretty much every thought out. Pretty much. I also was going to say that having got every thought out, I think I'm going to be done with my use for this podcast, and also I need to head out and do some writing. But thank you very much for having me on. I think genuinely this is the first time that I've been able to speak about the game openly, because both obviously my review was pre-released, obviously, and also the interview that I did with Aftermath was pre-released, so I couldn't speak openly about it. This is the first time that I've been able to discuss like the ending, for example, which is something that has been burning in my mind since playing it. So I appreciate, I appreciate that space very much.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing your perspective on this, because once again, like, it's, to me personally, it's very important to have voices like you and many others who are, in very, minority spaces, giving voice to the voiceless, pretty much. It's just like, hey, we need these types of like voices more to be heard more. And I think for me, on a personal level, like trans rights are human rights to me, and I will definitely champion voices like you in the LGBTQ space on that perspective whenever I can and whenever I'm allowed to. Like, thank you so much for
Mhm.
being here and sharing your perspective to give voices on, like, from you know these are very trying times, especially in the modern landscape and the landscape that we exist in. And it's I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, look, I will very happily continue being an increasingly loud and annoying trans woman in the game space, of which there have been several, and there will continue to be more. I am one of many, and it's really important that we keep trying as
Yes.
people continue telling us we don't fucking matter. So yeah, even on like one-off podcast appearance where I get to talk about like that sub story and why that matters, for example, it matters. It means a lot.
10 million%. Thank you so much, Ashley. We appreciate your time.
And thank you for joining us.
And
Yeah.
definitely give the VGC review a read through if you want to read through more of it. Like, just make sure you give them a click for Ashley's review up over at VGC Chronicle on Yakuza Kiwami 3. And
Oh yeah.
keep
So-
keep an eye out for her bylines, for all the other writing she's going to be doing.
I was about to say, is it appropriate for me to plug myself before I go? Or
Absolutely.
Is that...
No,
Yeah,
plug everything.
do
Like,
it, do
hey,
it.
promote yourself. We encourage it. Whatever you want to promote,
Okay.
you have the stage.
Sure. My as I think about every day now as whether it was a good choice or not, my tag on Blue Sky is at Ash Like Dragon. And the main thing that I have done, outside of just continually writing about games and being annoying about them, is written a book. Valhalla Design Works for Lost in Cult, which is a physical book, which is to be published quite soon, which is terrifying, and is the kind of, dare I be egotistical, the kind of ultimate look at indie game Valhalla Cyberpunk bartender action. With a bunch of dev interviews, a bunch of completely exclusive information, which is nowhere else in the world outside of in that book. And I spent the better part of last year writing it, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm excited for it to come out. So if you have any interest in hearing from me in a book and or what's it called, Valhalla as a video game and Scaban Games as a company, as a studio, consider looking into that book, because I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Where is the best place
So-
you can purchase this book when it's released to, make sure that, the people who made it are properly supported and because obviously there's definitely some outlets that'll take a share. What is the most preferred way to purchase that when it's up?
So, to give you some inside baseball, I've already been paid. Don't worry about that. But
Okay.
the only place that you can buy this book is Lost in Cult's website, which is
Okay.
at www.lostincult.co.uk/Valhalla. God, I sound like I'm doing a sales pitch. I've linked it in the chat there. Mikhail has also linked it in the chat there because he's very kind. And yeah, it's still available for order, and it should be published sometime relatively soon this year. I don't have a straight answer, but sometime relatively soon.
Okay. Cool. And look, I will support people who like market themselves. We all have to do it in some way, shape, or form in this field.
Mm.
So don't worry about the feeling embarrassed about that, because I get it, but I encourage it either way.
No, I appreciate that. But yeah, I think that's all of the spewing bullshit that can come out of my mouth for 2 hours straight. So
You
thank you
excited
for
for
giving me
the
a platform
new?
for that.
You excited for the new Sycamore Games title
Oh
coming out
my
this year?
god, I can't fucking wait for Bloodhound.
s-
Holy shit.
Yeah, they said that it's
Yes.
content complete, so it's like, oh man, it might be
Yes.
out this summer. Holy shit!
Yeah, listen, I can't say anything, obviously, but yeah. Look forward to that.
Cool. Thank you, Ashley, so much for your time. And you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for having me. See you all soon. Good luck with the rest of the podcast.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thank
Bye.
you, Ashley. So that was Ashley Schofield, freelance game journalist and critic. Happy to have her on for a lengthy discussion on Yakuza Kiwami 3. With that, we still have I don't know how you segue from that because that was such an awesome and enlightening conversation. But we have a state of play to go into, plus a lot of other features up on the site because we have a lot of other people that have also done work on different upcoming games or release games that we at least want to platform here in short order. So transitioning to some articles that are up on rpgsite.net. We have one from Mikhail and a couple from Mikhail and a couple from James. So here's where you two get to kind of self-promote a little bit, to at least a smaller extent, on what you've written for the site. So I'll start with you, Mikhail. Just at least kind of shout out some of the articles that went up on the site last week. I think the one of the coolest things that I think we've ever published is you had an interview with Yasunori Nishiki, the composer of the Octopath Traveler series. One that I think we all think very highly of, and I believe we gave Octopath Traveler 2 best soundtrack the year it came out. But yeah, what was your putting that interview together with Nishiki-san? What kind of insights did you get with that interview?
So that was one of those quote unquote bucket list things for like composers in the industry for me, because when I heard the first Octopath soundtrack, it was like one of my favorites in a long time. And I love the Octopath 2 soundtrack. In fact, I made James buy me a signed copy from TGS, which I've used in a photograph in the interview at the end. So, really, really appreciate his music with the Octopath series, even Champions of the Continent, which I never really played, but the music is always there to listen to. It's kind of like how I treat most gacha games now, which I'm not playing. I can still enjoy the music. So, but then we got Octopath Zero out of it, so yeah, that's a good thing. And yeah, interviews like this are a bit interesting and a bit challenging because they have to be translated back and forth. So I was only able to send I was told 5 to 6. This is the funniest thing. I was told 5 to 6 questions plus coffee. So I like that. Uh, so I had to cheat around this a bit, so I merged some of my questions, and then thankfully they were all answered. So just figuring out how he approaches boss themes, how he if anyone's played Octopath Traveler, they did this smart thing with the music over there where it has like a separate intro for each of the 8 characters, which loops until you get to the specific battle, and then there's like a normal battle, it's decisive battle 1, decisive battle 2, which is the one which I love, and then there's the final battle theme for that specific story. And what happens is when you're in the cutscene or when you're talking, because it's like not all of it is voiced, and it's like you have to press like A on the controller to progress, they made it so that the music can loop infinitely, and then it'll transition perfectly into the battle theme, like for the boss theme. I really loved that back then, and it's carried over to like all the Octopath games, and also how he did that. Then there's what a lot of people don't know is he did music for Konami, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I don't play that, but the soundtrack's really good. Everyone loves the soundtrack. He's also done some Final Fantasy VII remake series arrangements, because like the Final Fantasy VII remake series is like the most decadent soundtrack out there. I think it's like the Genshin Impact of soundtracks and how much money I think they spend on it. So just to like have some insight on how he approaches like arranging those songs. And when I was actually putting together the interview, I wasn't sure what I should go with for the title. I was thinking, should I quote the Final Fantasy thing? But I said that kind of it feels like I'm focusing on something when I did the interview to talk about Octopath. So I like went with the coffee thing, and it ended up being pretty funny. Like, let me get the exact quote, because yeah. So I said, "How do you like your coffee?" as I normally do at the end of each interview. And he said, for me, my favorite drinks are absolutely essential while composing music. Sometimes that might be a cup of coffee, royal milk tea, or even a decadent hot chocolate. Black coffee, especially unsweetened, is typically what I reach for when I'm buried in paperwork. On the other hand, a sweet latte usually means I'm gearing up to tackle a crucial battle theme, one I expect will be an uphill battle. I don't exactly remember which of my favorite drinks accompanied me while composing each track, but I'm certain that for every track people have enjoyed, various kinds of coffee have joined me as faithful companions on its composing journey. I love that. So, yeah, I think it's a short interview, like short by my standards at least. So give it a read. And one thing I did ask is which soundtracks he's enjoyed and who he would like to work with. And he mentioned Kevin Penkin, who I was not familiar with before this interview, but he's done a lot of music, including Made in Abyss, which people really like the soundtrack to that. But I was not familiar
It's
with it.
extremely good.
Yeah, I'm a
Yes.
big Penkin fan. I'm a big Penkin fan.
Yeah, so I wasn't familiar with his work until this, and then I found out like he did music for Sin Chronicle, which is a game I've written about. I don't think it exists anymore. Then he did Necro Barista, which I like, so that's like a blind spot for me. So yeah, like I like discovering more composers through this. So that was a fun interview. I was happy to be able to do it because I was like working on it or trying to like get it rolling before the holidays. So I'm glad it finally happened. So yeah, that was the first thing I did of the week. And I've already lost track. It feels like this interview came out last month with how the last week has been.
Well, I was just gonna
Um,
give one last shout out to the Yasunori Nishiki interview up on RPGsite.net.
Okay.
But yeah, James, you had 2 features that went up, one interview and one preview for Monster Hunter
yeah,
Stories 3, a game that's releasing next month. So with Capcom.
yeah. So I've had access to the full game for a little over 3 weeks now, I think, or thereabouts. So obviously there was a preview embargo, and I originally was going to do a more general preview, but I realized 2 things. One, I haven't finished the game, but I've put over 20 hours into it. Like, I'd say 90% of what I would write in that hypothetical preview would just be regurgitating the same stuff that I would inevitably say in my full review. So I had like a draft of like a preview that I just scrapped, and I was like, I'm going to take a different tact. So I focused in on one thing about Stories 3 that I thought was notable, which is the habitat restoration system, which is really, really fascinating. And I went over to how it works mechanically, how it kind of ties into the narrative too. It's like sometimes you'll play a game that has like one specific feature that feels like, oh, this game was kind of designed like all around this, including the story, and it really works. I highly recommend reading that preview piece because man, habitat restoration does feel like exactly one of those sorts of mechanics.
Can you give us like a one sentence like, you know, thesis or I don't know, preview to lead us to like you're writing about it? Like what is the habitat system just at its core?
So basically, the way it works is that Stories 3, like the previous games, has all these different regions, but there's a difference in the sense that you can actually impact the types of monsters that appear in these regions, and also some of like how powerful they are by finding eggs, hatching them, and then choosing where to release these monsters back into the environment. So if you release a monster into an environment that already has a population of that monster, it can strengthen the baseline level of power and like how likely it is for you to get a higher quality egg from monster dens in that region. And also it ties into the whole conservationist angle with the monster rangers in the story, where there's 2 different types of monsters. There's feral monsters, which are like monsters that have been impacted by the encroachment. They have these crystals on their body. They are basically going crazy. You can't reason with them. You can't calm them down. You have to kill them because they are basically like they are a threat to every other monster in that environment. So you can't even set up camp and send other monsters out into habitat restoration until you've killed the monster, like the feral monster that is like antagonizing that section of the game map. Once you do, however, you can start just sending any monster that you find, no matter which region you found them in, into that region. And that can impact, again, if that monster is already there, it will impact the ranking of it. It will also introduce an elemental modifier to the types of monsters that you can find in that area. So, like, let's say you release a bunch of Raffians into an environment, and obviously that's going to be like a Rathian's fire or poison.
Right.
And if you release a bunch of monsters that have a very clear elemental affiliation into a region, that changes things where the elemental affiliation of monsters that you find there are also going to be different. So, like, let's say you put a bunch of fire monsters into an environment where Tobi-Kadachi lives. The next time you find a Tobi-Kadachi egg, it'll be red, and it'll also have a fire element in addition to the thunder element or lightning element. The other thing in habitat restoration is it ties into invasive species, because the World of Stories 3 has a whole situation where basically the world's fucked. A bunch of monsters have become endangered or even extinct. One of the things you can do is that, because like everything's out of whack, there's some monster species that aren't meant to be in this region that are invasive. You can find their den at night, and if you can drive them off, you can actually find a den for a endangered monster species. If you take that egg, hatch it, and reintroduce it to the environment, that monster, which was previously extinct or like very highly endangered, is now showing up both in the overworld and in monster dens for eggs. And there's even situations like with Rathian, where if you keep introducing those Rathian eggs into the ecosystem more and more and more, depending on like stuff like in monster notes that'll let you know, hey, there's like subspecies variants or even deviants that you might be able to get as additional monsters in the like egg pool. If you keep introducing this monster and like strengthen the population, you can eventually get like a pink Rathian or a Dread Queen Rathian and stuff like that. It's like really fascinating stuff. And when you tie it into the existing like gene system, which you can transfer genes from one monster to the other and all that, it's a really satisfying gameplay loop that really ties into exploring the world, because you need to find these invasive monster dens in order to actually do like get these endangered monster eggs to then introduce them back into the ecosystem of habitat restoration. It's just fascinating stuff. It's really, really cool.
No, it sounds like a really robust system that even ties into like how the story is, at least how the premise is kind of set up. Like when you talk about the world being, fucked, in your words, about like with these feral creatures that can't be reasoned with, but then how you manage that in from a gameplay perspective. So thank you for introducing it, and definitely give that preview a read up on rpgsite.net. Monster Hunter Stories 3, Twisted Reflection, wants you to conserve and protect the Monster Hunter world. And then you also did have a quick interview that you had with the development team. I'm not sure specifically who on the team you got to speak to, but did you have any
I
comments on the interview that you put up as well?
So it was like a panel of a couple of different folks. The lead game designer, Sujimoto-san, who's obviously the producer of the Monster Hunter
EP,
series
yeah.
these days,
Mhm.
and a couple of others that I don't know off the top of my head. There was the art director too. So it's like I had an interview, and I just got a couple of specific things I wanted to highlight from that conversation. And really, what was fascinating is obviously over the last couple of years, we've had this whole conversation about the usage of the term JRPG and how some developers consider it derogatory. And the reason I bring this up is I did not use that term in my questions. But Sujimoto-san brought it up directly when talking about what sort of game they wanted to make with Stories 3, like in Japanese. So I asked a few follow-up questions, and it's just interesting how like there are some developers in Japan that do see JRPG as a terminology for a subgenre of RPG, and how like the party members in Stories 3 were deliberately introduced to Stories 3 to make the game more like a quote-unquote JRPG. So, interesting stuff.
So they more framed it like an endearing term,
Yeah.
seemingly. No, that's really cool. But yeah, so you have 2 features up on the site for Twisted Reflection, the preview and the interview, and then of course the interview with Nishiki from Yasunori Nishiki from Mikhail. And then one last article that's up on the site, a game that we might talk about on a later episode of the podcast, but we at least want to shout out the article, is that Cullen Black returned and did another review for us for Romeo is a Dead Man from Grasshopper manufacturer Suda51. So I don't have much um, history or like knowledge about like Suda51 and like the history of games there, but I read this review and it just sounds like a wild time. So Cullen was really endeared to Romeo is a Dead Man thought very highly of it and was glowing, and it's a fun review to read. So
I
if he's
start I
if that's a
started
game,
it. Yeah, I started. I might talk about it like a later podcast, like you said. But yeah, it is definitely something. I really enjoyed Cullen's perspective on it, and it's definitely a Suda 51 game. That's for
Mhm.
sure. Love him or hate him, he makes outlandish shit, man. A lot him and the team, the creative team at Grasshopper Interactive. It's a wild time. I definitely want to talk about it once I get further in.
Mhm.
It's madness in a really glorious way.
Mhm. And good shout out, Mikhail, here in the notes. Mikhail also did some console and some PC technical. I don't know, is review the right term? Interrogation of the Monster Hunter Stories 3 um, performance. With that, I think we'll go into the news topics here. And the main thing here is that we're going to be following up on the announcements at the Sony State of Play 1 week after Nintendo's Partner Direct. I actually had a fair number of headlines from this State of Play that are relevant to our purview here at RPG site. So I have this in no particular order, but generally framed as announcements first, followed by like updates second. But a lot of talk about here at the State of Play. The one that I happen to list first is a new action RPG that was announced by Konami and developed by Ilka, which I'll talk about that later. This is the first time that this has been shown publicly. It's called Rev Noir. It is an action RPG in development for, as far as we know, PlayStation 5 right now. Was announced with about 2 minute teaser trailer involving the premise of golden rain that is toxic, I guess is what I interpreted from this. And it's, a lot of story bits, a lot of character acting, including English dialogue. No slated release date. First time this game's been announced. What did we think of Rev Noir shown at the State of Play?
Yeah, when I was writing up the news story for it, it has a pretty interesting, like, the trailer itself. I was like, I don't know, this is not the best reveal for it. It might turn out cool. I wasn't really too fond of like the reveal itself though, because modern landscape is like, we have a lot of these types of games where it's an action RPG, anime aesthetic, and like it's very very prevalent right now in that space.
Mm,
So I hope um there's something about this that like really wow me. But the 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 credits that we know, aside from like, hey, Konami is working, is that, as you mentioned, there's an Ilka logo at its official website, so they are involved in some way, shape, or form in the development. But they're working alongside Konami with it, and Konami itself was like a big presence at this Sony State of Play. But the one who presented this trailer was Nobuki Kadoi, and he's a former Square Enix employee who's now working as the producer on this game. And he left at the end of 2019 and at Square Enix, and he was like the producer of Gunslinger Stratos. At the time, he had other credits like in the Lord of Vermilion stuff over at Square Enix. But this is really his first like big noticeable like role since his when he joined up with Konami several years back. He also worked on the Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remastered like as production support and some other like more minor roles in some recent Konami releases. So I'm really interested to see like where the team over at Ilka, Konami, and him go with this, because I think the premise itself isn't like bad on paper, because the as you mentioned, this phenomenon known as like the lightfall is basically golden rain that kind of inflicts death on anything it touches, and that trailer shows this admittedly generic protagonist um like on the edge of death, and it seems like there's events rewinding before stuff happens to him, so he's like redoing this journey to stop the lightfall along with this mysterious girl, and he's also an amnesiac protagonist. So it's a very generic
well worn. Yeah.
yeah premise, but I wonder if that's also on purpose too, to some extent. So like I said, it's not the best reveal. I don't know if I'm really interested yet, but I do think the staff itself, it does make me interested, because I do like the stuff that Ilka works on.
Yeah, so Ilka, we've seen, did primary development duties for the Pokemon Gen 4 remakes, Brilliant I hope I get the terms right, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. I have those backwards. They also
You're
did the
good.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Sorry, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Bleh.
One
That's a brain
Piece.
fart.
One
One
Piece
Piece
Odyssey.
Odyssey. No, the other too many Odyssey, too many stuff. That One Piece Odyssey. There are also support
They did
credits
the other
on
AC game,
Ace Combat.
Oh,
Ace Combat.
Oh, okay. They also did support work on Dragon Quest XI: Echoes of an Elusive Age. So they've been, represented on RPG side, and I think, yeah, whether even if the game itself might not have slam dunked in its announcement, it's cool to see, Konami putting their publishing, might behind this because 5 years ago Konami was an afterthought. So it's interesting. It's cool in that respect. Whether or not this game is going to set the world on fire, well, we don't know. It's it's very early, but it's cool to see that Konami is a player again. And like you said, this wasn't the only thing we saw from them here at the State of Play. So it's really cool just to see them, still hanging around and kind of towing their way back into the game development space, at least the game publishing space. And I just kind of moved the order of announcements here to bring up the other Konami title that I have listed here. The announcement of a Castlevania game, a Castlevania side scroller. Castlevania Belmont's Curse was shown off at the Sony State of Play. It's being developed by Evil Empire, and I looked them up, and they've been working on similar games. They did the Rogue Prince of Persia, which released late last year. They also did a lot of the DLC kind of added content for Dead Cells. They weren't the original developer, but they kind of like were handed off some development, responsibilities for Dead Cells for the DLC. So they've worked in this space before, and now they're partnering with Konami for this new Castlevania game, Castlevania Belmont's Curse. I thought this looked really neat. It has a really pleasing art
Fantastic.
style.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
and
interested.
the music
Oh,
felt like it was really on brand too for, like even before it was shown, like, yeah, this is a Castlevania game. You can just tell by the backing track. Like it's I don't know, this feels like it could be a slam dunk, slated for release this year. Across PS5, Xbox, Switch, and PC. Other announcements at the Sony State of Play. Here's one that if Chow was here, I think he was one of the ones that I think in our chat was maybe the most excited for this. A new entry in the Brigandine strategy RPG series, and I had the one came out like 2020, Legend of Runeterra. Like
yeah.
I touched out a little bit, but I never played a ton of, and it was originally, I hope I get this right, a PS1 game. I think that's where the original Brigandine was, but
Yeah,
this
I
is a new.
believe so. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, so Brigandine Abyss was announced at the State of Play. It is slated to release in 2026 for not only PlayStation 5, but Switch 2, Xbox Series, and PC. Got a new trailer for it in both Japanese and English. And yeah, it's just following up on the strategy RPG, and they did a lot of credits for, talent from other series. Like they've got a composer from Fire Emblem Awakening. They've got a director
Ray
and a scenario
Kondo
writer
is
from the.
extremely good. I'm in it
Yeah,
too.
they're
I'm in it for Ray
very
Kondo.
not just Awakening, but like Akami, Bayonetta, and then a lot of Sengoku Basara credits on this too. Like
Mhm.
like key stuff from the like Sengoku Basara series. Like okay, sure. For Brigandine, it was definitely the most unexpected announcement out of that Sony State of Play. Like definitely up there. It's like because like Legend of Energia like didn't set the world on fire. I don't know exactly how well it did, but I'm glad that the series still continues. It's one of those series that I wish I had more time to get into because these games are packed to the brim with like content. Like these are long ass games. They have a lot of factions, a lot of stages. Um, but I think the one thing that's understandably divisive about this new entry is the art style change because the Brigandine games, especially like you see like screenshots of the Legend of Energia, like it had a very distinct look to its character design artwork, and this one is it's still good, but it's not really the it kind of lacks the distinctness of past entries in that regard. Well, this one's a bit more, modern anime aesthetic, which is fine. I don't have a problem with it, but that's what kind of separated it in terms of like the look of it. It reminds
Yeah,
me of
it's not quite as distinct.
the think of like Radiant Historia, the old art style, and the new art style, the Radiant Historia. Where like the new art style isn't bad, but there was really a look to the old Radiant Historia.
I think you just dealt
Artwork.
psychic damage to Adam.
No, I agree. Like in a vacuum, the new Radiant Historia artwork is good. It's just like compared to the original, it's like, oh, this is very different.
Well, I meant like, yeah, I had to be reminded about that. I haven't played that game, but I've seen that art style compared before. Like, man, it really lost something, and yeah, I can see it with the Brigandine update too, with the new artist. So but yeah, slated to release this year, and I'm sure Chow might speak to it next week once he's back on the podcast because he seemed pretty
It's
excited about
also
it.
okay. I feel like I have to mention, like, there's not, like I said, I don't have a problem with the character designers because the character designers for Brigandine Abyss are amazing. There's fucking Junko Koano on it, who's everyone in like, I know people who play RPGs know her for Suikoden and recently a Euden Chronicle, and then Niji Hayashi also did artwork for Fire Emblem Heroes and Shadowverse. Like, these are two very talented character designers, but they're just like, it's a departure from the old art style. That's it. It's not anything bad.
You
It's a
you, you
departure.
can't have nuance. People are only going to take sound bites. That I heard RPG site hates the new art style. That's what we said. No, I get where you're coming from. Yeah, it's up.
Mm.
A couple other announcements. We had another one from an action RPG from Probably Monsters, who are the developers behind Stormlancers and a few other games. They announced an action RPG called Crimson Moon, which seems to be like a we talk about the like the Elden Ring seamless co-op mod or the Neo 3 how its co-op works. It seems like an action game that's designed to be played two player, even though it can be played one player, because they focus on the two player aspect in the press release and at the end of the trailer of having two characters along for the ride. Uh, Gothic horror, you play as a half. I was gonna say a half vampire, but that's not true. It's a half angel.
Okay.
Fighting against like gothic creatures. So it's an interesting like first look at a game like this. I don't think it's quite set itself apart yet, but it's slated to release this year with a studio that has a little bit of a pedigree behind it. So something I'll keep an eye on. Uh,
I did enjoy
a game.
the weirdly energetic rock backing track in its announcement trailer.
It
It's
it
like,
does have the butt rock, yeah.
yeah, it's like I don't know what this game is, but the composer for this trailer is giving it 110%.
It's kind of got like that Western comic booky look, like that Joe
Yeah,
Madura sort of style to it. A little bit of
I could see it.
Darksiders kind of vibe.
Oh
So
yeah.
with a little bit like it's got armor sets that look very Dark Souls-ish. It just does.
I would play it. I would definitely play it with my
Yeah.
friend.
Mhm.
Kind of reminds me of like Diablo art, sort of,
Okay.
with the
Yeah,
angel
Yeah, I
and
could see that.
demon. Yeah.
Mhm.
half angel.
This next one, when I saw this headline, I didn't really know what this was, and I don't even know what I'm supposed to take away from it. I'm talking about a game that Krafton announced, Project Windless. Seems like it's pretty far away. They don't have a like a slated release, window yet. But basically, I watched this trailer and I thought I can't be the only person that thinks this, right? I went to the YouTube, I read the comments. Yep, this is if God of War starred an anthropomorphic rooster. That's what this is. Like that's what it looks like. That's what people's first impressions were. Action game starring a big burly chicken that wields two swords fighting hordes of
The
monsters.
the first
It's
descriptor I had for this when I saw it was chicken muso. That was my first descriptor for it.
I
Um,
saw Cock of War. Yep. That's what I saw.
it's very good. Oh man, too bad that probably can't be the podcast title, or else you'd probably get in trouble on platforms for having that title.
But one thing I did think that this was kind of neat is that apparently this is a prequel to a popular Korean fantasy book series called The Bird That Drinks Tears. The author of that book series is Lee Young-do. And I'm glad that they talked about this in like the press release because I would have had no idea. But this might be based on popular Korean fantasy story. It's set before those events in those books or in those stories, but it's just cool to say like, oh, this is an adaptation of something of some sort in that sense. So that on its face, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. Once again, like this project looks really cool, and I definitely like really want to play it. But some you know cliff note, like side notes to this is like, hey, Krafton recently talked about how it's going to include more generative AI into its workflow and its elements, and people were kind of worried about this project, saying it's like, oh, it's by Krafton. Is there generative AI in this? And Krafton's response was like, there's no generative AI in like the what basically what players see in the game. Not to say that they might still be employing the workflow, but as far as we know, based on the info that they've told us, it's no for like what's player facing. But who can say whatever else? Because I'm not working on it, but I do want to put that out there. Like,
No, it's a good shout
Krafton,
out. They've
Krafton was in like in recent news about statements like that.
Yeah, they've said that they're basically an AI first, publishing
Yeah.
house or studio. Like, and for some people, and this is a perfectly valid stance to have. Like, AI in the development versus AI in the product might be a distinction without a difference. Like, and that's totally valid if that's how you feel. But yeah, definitely
Yeah.
from a studio that they have used AI in their development pipeline. So keep that in mind. I hope I didn't accidentally skip anything. I think that was all of the major announcements of, like, new projects that were within our, like, scope, but we did also get a few, updates for some previously previously known about games. This one is one I've definitely got circled. We got a release date for the upcoming Beast of Reincarnation. This is the, post-apocalyptic action RPG being developed by Game Freak, set like in Japan in like 2000 years, year 4026. We got a new trailer and a release date for this game. It is coming out on August 4th. So only 4, 5 months away. Got a new trailer. The trailer shows a lot of, gameplay aspects, a lot of story, snippets. They're still kind of going that this is the one person, one dog action RPG, which they do. It does prominently feature the dog. So that's, as far as we can tell, a true statement. But
It's a good
yeah, this
tagline.
is
I'll
the
take it.
yeah, it sets it apart. Like, oh, which action game is this? This is the one with the dog. It's like, and I know that doesn't narrow it down completely, but it's like, oh yeah, it's this one. Uh, I don't know. This game looks really neat, and I'm
Yeah,
excited to try this. It's definitely on my
me
radar.
too. It is funny though. There's a lot of parrying in that trailer. It is
Yep.
funny. Like parry, 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 parry. It's like
Yep.
okay.
Mhm. We also got a gameplay. I believe this was at the State of Play.
Yes.
The gameplay reveal of Control Resonant. This is the newest title from Remedy Entertainment, of course, set after Control. We've started covering this game because they've explicitly stated that this is one of their most complex games they've ever made, and they're deliberately framing it as an RPG specifically, while the other games were more action RPG adjacent. And what they showed here was a lot of the combat of the main character, Dylan. What's his last name? I don't know, Dylan. And his like
Yeah, Faden. I forgot
his
how.
weapon, yeah, his weapon that can like shapeshift and become hammers and sickles and all sorts of things in different contexts. So the thing I most appreciated about this is that it actually shows like UI elements, which I know it's a
Yes.
dumb thing to harp on, but it's like, wow, this is actually looks like a game someone can play. It's not just a video editor making a movie out of B-roll or something like. I really love gameplay showcases like this. It actually feels real in a
It's
2D
very
sense.
lightly scratching that Gravity Rush itch, just a tiny bit, because you do get an ability that they showed off in this trailer where you can like kind of shift your center of gravity towards like other buildings and stuff like that. So like okay,
Mhm.
all right, hopefully there's a bit more oomph to like the final products like when like weapons hit like enemies, because right now it kind of feels a little thin on that side. But I do like the
Mhm.
what they're showing. Like it's a big departure from Control's gameplay, which is like their third person shooter. Like this is much more Devil May Cry esque adjacent to that,
Mhm.
and it is cool to see that like the weapon that you wield kind of shape shifts seamlessly into like the next part of the combo, so you can kind of see just it's fun stuff of having a versatile thing turn into different weapons mid combo.
We got another quick trailer for Pragmata. Of course, that one's coming out relatively soon in the end of April. We just recently talked about a new demo that was now available for consoles. There's been a demo available for PC. So this is just a quick little story trailer, sh- showcasing like a part of the like space station that they're on that resembles like a not post-apocalyptic, but like a rundown New York City's Times Square, set in the future. So, and a fun dialogue between Hugh and the other character. So, just a fun little another look at this game that's coming out relatively soon.
Um, like You cannot fault Capcom for undermarketing its games. It's always there. Like
Yep.
it feels like every event showing off. Hey, here's what you have next. Here's Pragmata. Here's Resident Evil. We're making sure that you don't forget that like these are coming out very soon. I'm sure after they're coming out, they're gonna like move on to Onimusha. But like we're gonna make sure you don't forget that Onimusha exists. And whenever they announce a release date, then we're gonna make sure that you remember that release date no matter what.
Let's see here. We also got an update on Mina the Hollower. This is the GBA like, I guess, like top-down game that's styled in kind of that I always think of like Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Ages Seasons sort of style. This is a game that was originally by Yacht Club Games, kind of featured on Bloomberg, but having a little bit of a troubled development. They have stated that they are planning to release it, that its release date is imminent, and then also that it will have a PS5 exclusive demo available now through the end of February. So it's really cool to see that this game, is still coming out and it's slated to release hopefully relatively soon in the first half of the year. Decent showing, and I haven't seen any direct feedback from that demo because it is PS5 exclusive, and I'll have to figure out if mine's
Well,
if
I
mine's been
assume
hooked up. But
I
It's
assume
the
it's
same demo.
yeah,
It's
it's
the
the same
same
demo for that
demo.
was on PC.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
the
know why
same
they.
demo,
Oh,
but it doesn't have save transfer on any other demo, but it does for this one for whatever.
That's true. Yeah, I think
Because
that's
the
kind of what
PR
sets
email
apart.
didn't mention exclusive or anything, so I don't know. Like, was it mentioned in the state of play?
They did. It
Yeah,
was like a very quick thing. It was a very
they
quick
they
thing.
Okay,
mentioned it
okay.
was an
Because
exclusive demo with save transfer, which is interesting
oh,
because
I
the
see.
demo wasn't available on PS5 before. Now it is, and now they say, "Oh, this one has save transfer." Which two things: one, that means that the release date for this is probably very soon, which is interesting that they had it on the state of play as a release window when it's clear that they're, I assume, wanting it out probably next month or like April. Very
Yeah.
odd.
What's in April?
Too much shit.
So
Very
like
much.
I like you could definitely. I mean, you can definitely tell Yacht Club Games is still understandably very skittish about like, the perfect release date, nailing down the perfect release date of this game because they don't want like a hypothetical Silk Song situation where they announce a release date and but then another big game is coming out by them that might steal or not steal but they take away sales from them. So like because of that Bloomberg article last December, like a lot more people know now about like kind of the borderline dire situation that they need Mina to be successful to continue existing as a studio
Yeah,
as
they
they are
said that it
now.
needs to sell like what 300,000 copies for them to survive as a studio or something like that.
Something like that. It's like I like they are very very nervous, and I can kind of
Yeah,
see why they're still kind of
I
leaving their
think
release window open.
I think the thing that scares me is that so it originally had a release date for last Halloween. That was when it
Yeah,
was supposed to launch, and it was a
Yep.
last minute delay. Then we had was it Jason Schreier? Was it Totillo that had? I think it
Schreier.
was Schreier. It was
Yeah.
Schreier who went to their offices and got to see the game, and we heard some honestly kind of terrifying isn't the right word, but like kind of shocking words from them, just straight up saying, we don't know how this is fully coming together. Stuff like that. And when the game is so close to the finish line, it's been in active development for like over half a decade, right? Something like that.
Yeah, about
6 years.
over 6 years.
And combined with them saying, "Oh, we need this to be a success. We're running out of money." The thing that I think a lot of people are like thinking is like it's an open question. It's like, are they releasing it now because they're happy with it and it's ready, or are they releasing it because they need to release it because they're out of money?
We'll see. I mean, we won't know until rubber meets the road when that game comes out, and hopefully, for their sake, it's a success. Like, I don't want to see good developers, really any developers, like lose their job over like just underperformance.
Especially with a series that seemed like as successful as they were with Shovel Knight.
Well, the problem with
They're doing a
that is
remake of that as well.
Well, the problem with the Shovel Knight stuff is that they made all these promises with their Kickstarter campaign, and it's like, oh, we're going to have all of these different extra campaigns for different characters, and instead of just making them play the same levels, they were like, okay, we made Shovel Knight, now we made Shovel Knight 2, now we made Shovel Knight 3, now we made Shovel Knight 4, and if you bought Shovel Knight 1, you get it's 3 sequels. Because that's what they were. They weren't reskins. They were sequels for free.
I feel like they're gonna get more nervous over time, especially when stuff like the recent news of like the downsizing of the 2XKO team and the High Guard team. It's like even though those are completely separate markets in terms of like audience reach, at the end of the day, they are games that unfortunately underperformed and not in a great situation now.
Yeah, I will say though that I think the High Guard stuff is maybe a bit more extreme than even the 2XKO stuff, which both are terrible. But like, isn't there only single digits employees at Wildlight now, whereas there's still like 80 people on the 2XKO team at Riot?
I'm not exactly sure how much. I didn't get into like what exactly the numbers were, but yeah, the High Guard one seems to be a way bigger, like obviously pull away in terms of like resources now.
Thanks for setting me straight on that demo, because I rewatched the State of Play showing, and they said exclusively available, and the tag says exclusive demo. I didn't realize it was the existing demo. Interesting, framing there.
It's easy to miss. Like I don't blame you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That I think that covers it for the State of Play. So sometimes those come and go without we hope for a Square Enix presence often at those shows. We didn't really get that this time, but we got Konami instead, which I think we're all happy to see that they're still
Konami's
around and kicking.
fully back at this point. That's kind of crazy.
I was about to say, now they need to make a new Suikoden game, and I'm like, oh yeah, they are making a new Suikoden game.
They are, yep.
Yeah, log in, Adam.
Well, you know what? I'll play it in 4 years when they release the offline version on Steam.
Suikoden 0.
Like, genuinely, I think that might happen eventually. So that would be pretty nice.
I'm fucking stupid, and I'll fucking download it on, I guess, Steam and my cell phone because I'm dumb.
Yeah.
So also this last week, there was a Diablo 30th anniversary showcase, which we don't talk about Diablo a ton on this podcast. We touch on it here and there. And basically, as far as I didn't even know this happened until I was putting together this podcast. Basically, what I gleaned from this is that they announced Warlock 3 times. But let me so they announced the Warlock class is being added to Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred, which of course is the expansion releasing in late April, and they've already released the Paladin if you pay for a certain version. I forget the details. But that was already
just pre-order, I think.
Oh, is that what it is? If you pre-order it, you get Paladin now. Yeah. So but they've also announced that it's being added to Diablo Immortal, which I forgot was now on PC and not just mobile, but okay, that's another project that they have as well. This is the one I forgot about. Diablo 2 Resurrected.
Hasn't it been on PC for a while now?
I forgot. No, it has been. I just forgot that it was because it was BattleNet exclusive still, and that kind of ties in his next one is that Diablo 2 Resurrected is also getting its first new class, added to Diablo 2, and it has a Steam version now for Diablo 2 Resurrected.
Okay,
so,
I thought I wasn't crazy. I just looked it up, and no, it was always available on PC from day one.
Oh, okay.
I totally forgot.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
I think maybe it was the beta test or something. It wasn't officially out because they were just using the mobile UI and stuff until later. I think something like that. That's why Brian's probably thinking it's not out.
So it released at the same time on PC as a beta, but it was just hey, we're not entire. I'm guessing UI stuff mainly, but it was available day one on PC. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was I just covered, I did all 3 articles over here, and I did Diablo Immortal because I was doing the other 2, and I was may as well, and yeah, Warlock for all 3. And the interesting thing about Diablo 2 is they have a new bundle now, which has the Diablo 2 Resurrected and the Warlock expansion, or whatever they're calling it, which is a $25 purchase if you bought Diablo 2 before. So if you don't have it, you can get this thing called the Infernal Edition, which is how they're selling it on Steam, which is a $40 bundle which has both together. And I'll probably be writing something about that Diablo 2, the new thing, or the Steam thing at least. But maybe end of next week or something, I don't know. But yeah, like that, it's now available on like Steam, and it's Steam Deck verified and all that.
That's
So
weird that
hopefully it's
Diablo 2
good.
got a new class. I think that's just
Now
the bigger thing.
with this you have like Diablo 3 is the only one which has no controller support on PC, because if you buy Diablo plus Hellfire on GOG, it comes with that Devolution mod officially available on GOG, which has controller support. So now
That's
the only
weird.
Diablo you can't play on PC with controller is 3. So yeah, so if you want to play that portably, you have to play it on Switch now, which is funny.
It's besides the whole stuff with the BDS boycott, which Blizzard is under Xbox. So I'm not going to tell anyone to sit here and be excited about it, but it's a shame that Blizzard is tied to all that, because it seems like they're kind of having a pretty good, like they're having like a renaissance right now between WoW, between Overwatch, and between Diablo. It's like, it's such a shame that all of that is being sullied by being connected to Microsoft.
What is happening with WoW? I haven't even like heard of anything with that
Midnight
recently.
expansion.
I know I know the expansion, but like
people are excited
feels like
for
that's okay.
People are excited for Midnight, and this is like a totally real number. This is a totally real like a metric. Did you know that the biggest that WoW has ever been has been this current expansion? Like, highest number of subscribers has been this expansion between Classic, the Chinese audience, and the fact that people have been really happy with the War Within. It's been the highest number of subscribers in its history. People don't know it.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I know I still have friends who play WoW, like, religiously, because they do weekly raids and shit. But
And is the Overwatch, like, I heard they're dropping the 2 and all that, like, are over like I'm not plugged in. Like, are vibes high on Overwatch with the
Their vibes are high on Overwatch, and it's had the highest number of concurrent players on Steam, which is only one metric, because keep in mind, like, Overwatch was available on Battle.net exclusively for like over half a decade. So most of the people playing Overwatch still probably play it on Battle.net, especially since like WoW is so popular. So people are going to have Battle.net installed if they play WoW, that sort of thing. And like, it has the highest concurrent numbers on Steam alone. Like, Steam alone was over like 100,000 last I checked. Let me check SteamDB, because I think this is the first weekend since they did the relaunch or something like that. So it's obviously doing a lot better, like, in terms of performance. Right now there's 115,000 people in game on Steam, and it peaked 4 days ago at 165,000 just on Steam, not counting Battle.net, not counting consoles. Yeah, it's doing really, really well right now.
I think what's interesting is it has this thing where it's like a sine wave kind of effect, where people who were high on this game dropped it for something else, but then the game they dropped it for kind of didn't do much for them after them. Like, it happened with me literally. Like, I played like 700 hours of Overwatch 1 as like the first. I'd never played Team Fortress 2 because I don't like how it looks. I'm one of those people. But I played so much Overwatch on PS4, and then I got it everywhere else, and then it just, like, at some point when they started focusing on the rank stuff, it just wasn't doing it for me. And then Splatoon 2 came out at the right time, so I dropped Overwatch for that. But then Splatoon 2 has like the most dog shit netcode alongside Smash ever, like, from anything I've played. So I kind of got bored of that also, and then Overwatch 2 was a thing, and then that didn't work out, and then Splatoon 3 came, and then both of them are kind of shit right now. But then, like James said, Overwatch 2, I think when they had the Persona event is when I kind of like started paying attention again, because like the end of service joke everyone makes. But I started playing it randomly. They added like Classic, they added like some of the old Overwatch 1 style things, and like every time I play it, it's good. So yeah, it's not bad.
Of my, like, anecdotally, I have a bunch of friends that they played Overwatch when it launched, enjoyed it, then kind of dropped it. They picked up Rivals when it launched and had fun with it. And slowly I've been noticing more and more friends that maybe dropped Overwatch are like, you know what? It's been literally a decade. They added in a bunch of new characters. And I think for a multiplayer game, especially, especially a PvP multiplayer game, a big problem, and why a lot of folks that maybe dropped the game haven't picked it up again, even though it's free to play, is well, you're going to have to go up against all of those people that didn't stop playing the game. So you don't want to go in, especially when like one bad game can just sour your mood. So with this relaunch and the fact that they added in all of these new heroes, like a bunch of new heroes that nobody knows how to play or play against, inversely that means, oh, I can hop in now, play one of these heroes, and since nobody knows how to deal with them and we're all on a level playing field, that kind of lessens that impact. And you've seen a bit of a domino effect where it's just like, because more people are trying it out again, like even in my own friend group, but it just took one person to be like, I'm going to try Overwatch again. They're sitting in Discord VC, they're like sharing their screen, they're having a good time. 2 more people decide to download it because it doesn't take that long to download it these days. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, people are like having nightly Overwatch sessions again because they did like Overwatch when they originally played it. 6v6 queue is back, all that sort of thing. But it makes sense.
And if like I don't really have a ton of interest in I'm not a competitive gamer much, so like Overwatch is not really like for me. But as simple or as basic as it is, capital B basic, like, oh, Diablo 2 got a new class, and it's on Steam. Maybe I'll give it a try. I guess one thing I don't the Steam version is now available. Is the Warlock also now available? It looks like it is. Reign of
Yes,
Warlock.
yes, yes.
So
That
okay.
There's like one more thing I forgot to bring up is because of how they've handled the Diablo 2 Resurrected thing, the expansion or what they I don't remember if they're calling it an expansion. I think they're calling it Reign of Warlock bundle or something like that, the $25 thing. That actually has like stash tabs like and filtering and stuff which people got used to in the newer games or in newer ARPGs which wasn't there in Diablo 2. But they said that because they want to keep the Diablo 2 Resurrected experience pure, if you like, you can't choose Warlock and play in the classic mode, so it's like you have 2 versions of the game to access now when you boot it up. So like on the bottom right, when you choose your class, you get to choose, do you want to play Diablo 2 Resurrected or do you want to play Reign of Warlock? So if you play Reign of
That's
Warlock, you get
interesting.
to use all
I
the
don't know if
new
I like that.
stash tabs. Yeah, so I actually I booted it up just a bit to check it on Xbox before I finished downloading it on Steam, and yeah, like they have it like that because I'm pretty sure, like, because of how important and notable Diablo 2 is, if they did this and they forced everyone to use like modern stuff, some people would not be happy with it. So
Yeah,
it's good
yeah.
that they implemented it like this. But the one thing is, I think it's still online only. I haven't tested that yet because I remember that was like a
That
big
sucks.
that
That
was a
sucks.
big thing when they announced it.
Dog
And
shit.
the other thing is, like, it's still like I re-downloaded it on Switch and I was like, it has cross save. Maybe I'll like play it on Switch too also and pick it up on Xbox or whatever. I forgot it's like 720 30 dog shit on Switch.
I mean,
Not
I will
playing that on Switch too.
say the Warlock thing is like, it's cool. It's a new class, but a lot of like the
Okay, wait a second.
yeah,
I'm looking this up because I knew something didn't sound right. You can make offline characters, but you cannot then bring them online to use in multiplayer. If you want to use a
okay,
character that lets you
Oh,
use
that's fine.
multiplayer, it has to be
Thank you.
that's
online only.
okay then. Like, why was
Yeah.
I thought it was an online only thing and people got mad about it at launch, so I misremembered. But
Okay,
that's
thank you
good.
for the
Because
That's
clarification.
fine then.
the
Yeah, that's
whole
fine.
argument is that they wanted it, if you were playing online, they wanted to ensure that people were on like a level playing field and there was no funny business. That's why it's because I was like, wait a second, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah. No, the thing which is online only, I think, is Diablo 3 on PC then.
Okay, so here's another thing. You do
Okay.
have to verify every 30 days to play offline.
Okay, whatever.
But I
Oh,
mean,
so
that's the
that.
same thing. That's the
Oh,
same thing with
Fine,
Steam, though.
fine.
Technically,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
same thing with
fine.
Steam. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But like the Warlock class, hopefully it's like cool to play. I mean, I'm not gonna touch it because of BDS, but hopefully like the Warlock is cool. I just think a lot of the quote unquote new quality of life enhances is kind of a little bit hollow because a lot of that stuff is in Project Diablo 2 already, and it's been there for quite a while. So yeah, like Project Diablo 2 kind of laid the foundation for a lot of this already for quite some time.
one last headline here is something I guess we'll be looking forward to in a little under 2 days, is that CyberConnect 2 has announced that they're going to be divulging information of a new game project on February 16th Japan time, Japan evening, so it's already February 15th morning for them, so in less than 2 days. So,
Josh, you ready
what do
for
we
that
think
pop-up
CyberConnect 2 is
cafe
working on?
announcement? You
Oh
ready
my
for those
god.
acrylic standees?
Oh god, don't this is the most don't give me hope
You
shit of
ready
all
for
time.
those tapestries?
Dude, oh my god, I'm gonna cry.
I'm
A lot
sorry.
of
We got you know that we both gotta like temper our expectations here.
I know. Even this says new game project on it, but a lot of people are like, because of the specific time that they're announcing it, there it could be maybe dot hack related. I'm like, everyone
And
should shut the fuck up. Don't say it's dot hack. It's gonna give me hope, and I
I'm
don't
gonna
want
be
to hear
cope.
it.
I'm gonna be cope. I'm gonna be cope.
Uh-huh,
This is
uh-huh,
absolutely cope, and I'm sure that
uh-huh,
you've had the exact same thought process.
uh-huh.
If I was Bandai Namco, what use is there in maintaining control over the dot hack IP? You have Sword Art Online, which is everything you wanted dot hack to be. Why not just give the IP to
That, that
CyberConnect 2?
that would be the most un-Bandai Namco move of all time. They would never do that.
They
That's like
wouldn't. They
that's like they would
wouldn't.
give Xenosaga to like Monolith.
I know they wouldn't, but it's like theoretically, in some
Yeah.
bizarro world,
Mm-hmm.
it's not
Mm-hmm.
entirely impossible. It's not entirely impossible.
Uh,
I mean, let's put it this way. CyberConnect 2 is unironically probably one of Bandai Namco's most important partners in terms of game releases. Like, what was the last sales update for Dragon Ball Kakarot? Like 15 million, 20 million, something like
yeah,
that?
so something like that. But look, if it's like dot hack related, and it's not like some remaster of like the shitty fighting game that was like an add-on to like the Blu-ray of the Quantum movie or
What if it's
whatever.
remakes for the original quadrilogy? Because
If
they
it's
said
like
they
if
couldn't
it's
do
like
remasters. They said
yeah,
it
if it's
couldn't
like
do remasters.
yeah, if it's like a remake of IMOQ or like an entirely new project that's like an RPG, like then I'm never gonna shut the fuck up about it. It's over. Like
I'll
if that's
finally return to my GU playthrough and just go through it again.
I'm never gonna shut up about dot hack ever again if it's like those. But until then, oh man, I guess I'm gonna get up early to see this because I have to know. I
What
have to
time is
know.
it tomorrow?
It's like Monday morning at like 3 in the morning.
Oh, it's okay. It's Monday morning at 3. Oh God, I'll be
Yeah.
awake. I'll be awake. I
Uh,
hate it, but I'll be awake.
I know. I'm with you. I will force myself up and be a fucking zombie. But if it's not dot hack, then I'm gonna curse the world at Monday and my whole week and potentially month is ruined.
Just a couple more trailers, sales announcements, and a few dates to wrap this out. For the trailers, we got yet another lengthy one for the upcoming Crimson Desert. This is their third gameplay feature overview. Um, this is releasing in just over a month. The one takeaway that I got from
Mhm.
this trailer, one of the things that it goes over is like character customization. And I saw this, I forget if it was on Blue Sky or Facebook or whatever, but it was like, okay, customizing your outfit, customizing your robot. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like there was like a Akira Toriyama
Let's
like
customize
esque
a
like
robot.
drone or something like that. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was here. But yeah, just the third in a series of these kind of gameplay deep dives for Crimson Desert.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I really want to play
Mm.
it for myself and find out if like this is good or not. I'm very interested.
We also got a, I guess I marked this as a trailer, but it could have also been the date section. The Monster Hunter Wilds is getting its next update on February 18th with 10-star Dark Tempered monsters, new event quests. It's going to have a collab little crossover thing with Monster Hunter Stories 3, which makes sense.
Yep.
But then more importantly, that and not unexpected, but Tsujimoto did mention in the first anniversary message that they are working on an Iceborne Sunbreak style major expansion for Monster Hunter
Good
Wilds.
luck.
It is currently in development.
Best of luck to them. I feel like a lot of folks, a lot of fans have kind of come to the same conclusion. Myself and a few of my friends have also come to. They've fixed a lot of the problems with Wilds not having any difficulty with recent updates, and obviously the 10-star monsters are going to like be even going further down that direction. But so many of my issues with Wilds over time, I don't think you can necessarily fix with an expansion because it's baked into the core like identity of the game as a whole. So I'm very curious what this is going to look like, because even if, like, say they added 1, maybe 2 new maps that don't feel awful because they were designed around having like our Uber Beak just drive us to our location, that's still most of the maps in the game that I think just are bad.
Yeah.
It's also like I also think it's kind of ironic because they finally got the PC version of Wilds into like a largely playable state for a lot of people. Like the recent optimization updates that like did
Wait a second.
did
I'm sorry.
a lot of
I'll
good.
let you finish, but there's something I have to vent about.
I know, yeah, I know what you're gonna say, but yeah, but it's ironic because they finally got it to like a decent state, performance wise. But then, uh, usually with expansion updates to Monster Hunters, they up the technical specs. Like, remember Iceborne being a fucking technical nightmare on release, and then Sunbreak wasn't bad because it was
It's made for
really developed on
Switch.
Switch.
So like,
Yeah. So, but so now that they finally got the base game of Wilds into like an okay state largely, which took a year. Now are we gonna reset the clock back to this expansion, and then the release day 1 of this expansion is gonna be like, oh boy, here we go again. It's a fucking optimization nightmare. And do we have to wait another year or so for this, expansion to work okay? Who knows? Stay tuned. But yeah, Jit, I know what you're gonna talk about. Go for it.
So you'll note, so people that were paying attention to the roadmap that Capcom had for fixing the PC version said that the most recent update that they released like a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, what is time? They said that they were going to fix the performance of the HD texture pack. Now, the performance of the HD texture pack has been improved, but there's a giant asterisk here. They neutered it. They completely decimated the texture quality of the HD texture pack to the point where there are actual comparisons where, because they heavily compressed the HD texture pack, the previous patch's high texture setting, which was already noticeably low resolution, which is the whole point people wanted the HD texture pack to be fixed, looks noticeably better and less compressed than the current HD texture pack. And even worse, the way that they changed things behind the hoods is that they capped the texture stream rate on the engine side of things, where even if you did the old workaround where you had the old HD texture pack, you manually decompressed it and then had symlinks, so the game would load the uncompressed textures if you had 500 extra gigabytes on your hard drive that you were willing to spare to have the HD texture pack run right while also looking good. That no longer works because they've neutered the texture stream rate, which means that it's not going to load correctly. This is unacceptable. And the fact that so many people on Steam don't even notice this, and that so many people have just been like, oh, they fixed the HD texture pack, you can use it now. And it's like,
I mean, like, are you really surprised about that when you like?
I'm not
no, I mean, like,
surprised.
when I see like what is the game I was playing something on Switch 2, and I was like, it was Hades 2, and I was like, I don't think, like I told someone, I don't think you should buy it on Switch 2 if you can play it on a PC handle, because like 120 FPS on your ROG Ally is gonna feel way better than it will on the Switch 2. And they said, isn't it the same screen? And I was like, yes, but trust me, it's not gonna look as smooth as it does on that. Some people just do not notice. Like, we have to just accept it. It's just how it is.
It's just
that
genuinely
sucks, though.
like,
for people to notice and it does actually affect them. Like,
the next chance I have to speak with the Monster Hunter team, not in like, and believe me, I wish I could have asked about this during that Stories 3 interview, but it wasn't the time or the place. But when they're ramping up for that expansion, I'm going to ask them about this. And I hope they have a good response.
Yeah, like James' final question in that Stories 3 interview, like it's just bolted onto the coffee question. It's like, what's your favorite coffee? And also, why the fuck did you do that to the HE texture pack to Wilds? And that's his final question.
Like, I know this is a total first world problem, but it's like, as someone that was the use case for this, it's like,
I mean, even
Yeah.
like even if it's something you can't notice or you're not as passionate about, it feels like something they should be upfront about. Like, hey, we've made changes to the, very explicitly what they did to make it run better, rather than just saying like, yeah, we've improved it, and try to. I don't
And
know
this
if
is like
hiding
the.
it
I
is
mean,
too
I
strong a
don't.
word, but go ahead.
This just reminds me of the thing which, like, when Durante posted the Trails Beyond the Horizon Steam blog post talking about the features, and he put up this thing about protecting players from themselves, and he said, I don't believe in, like, restricting stuff because I think people will misuse it or whatever. He's like, I want all the games to be scalable and all that. So I put warnings and all that stuff. Meanwhile, Capcom is like, nope, like, I know it's not exactly the same situation, but they're like, nope, we'll do it this way and people won't notice, and it seems to have worked for some. But obviously, like, yeah, you should absolutely, like, if you interview them like in the near future or whatever, I'm sure like we're gonna have like chances to talk to them with Wild's expansion and stuff, so like can probably bring it up for sure. And you probably go to TGS also, so like you might have an answer to this like within the next 12 months.
Oh, yeah. I fully expect it. It's just like, man.
Yeah, so oh yeah, and just one thing I didn't like, since we're talking about Monster Hunter technical stuff, there's something which has been like bugging me since I spoke to James when he did the preview. Like, just going back to Stories for a second, uh, when he did the preview, I believe it was in December or November, where he played the PS5 and the Switch 2 version, and he had like some like was hoping
No,
the Switch 2 version.
this was Tokyo Game Show. This was
Oh, it was
TGS
Tokyo
when I
Game Show.
took it,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I confused it. So yeah, you said the PS5 version ran good, looked nice and all, but the Switch 2 version you were hoping would improve and all. Obviously, I didn't play the same build you did, but yeah, Capcom has a bad habit of just uncapping the frame rate on console and like hoping for the best. And they've done that again with this, and it feels pretty awful on Switch 2. It's kind of like a similar thing as Stories 2 on Switch 1. I don't know if any of y'all played it over there, but that was a game where that got Monster Hunter World id basically, where it was perfect on the successor through backward compatibility, but it wasn't as much fun when you were playing it on the source hardware. And we have the full game, right? Like James said, like we've had the full game for a few weeks right now. Obviously, it's without the day one patch, but it's unfortunate that the Switch, like I've played all four versions now, like all four platforms. The Switch 2 version is the worst version of Monster Hunter Stories 3 right now, unfortunately. So like Capcom, like like you can argue that for Wilds. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say it's not even so much the issue that it's uncapped. Obviously, it's not ideal, but on the Switch 2 screen itself, I think that's whatever. It's how far it dips and how it's like almost juddery. I remember it being a bit juddery when I played it, like at TGS. I haven't downloaded the demo on my Switch 2 because, frankly, why would I? have access to the full game and I can play it on a PC handheld.
Yeah.
But
no, the thing is, it has some VRR issue. It has some VRR thing, and also, so there's this thing where on PS5 and Xbox, it just runs in a 120 hertz container regardless of what mode you choose. So if you're playing quality, balanced, or performance, because those consoles have 3 modes, they are all just uncapped. So like if you play in quality, it's like 30 to 45. If you play in balanced, it's like 60-ish or whatever. Like I put the numbers over there because I literally measured it with a VRR and with slow-mo recording on my phone camera on the Xbox Series version. So like all of them are just uncapped. Like usually you'd think quality is 30, balanced is like 40, and performance is 60. But because this game was made for Switch 2, it's like every mode just runs uncapped, and balanced is 60, and the performance mode actually targets like 100 FPS or whatever. So like if you have VRR, it's all good, but it's just baffling that they don't put a cap on this. And this has me legit worried for Resident Evil Requiem on Switch 2, because I feel like it's just going to be an uncapped experience. Like I should have it soon, hopefully, but I don't know. Like they have a bad habit of just doing this on console. They've been doing it since like Resident Evil 2 remake on base PS4. They just like left it uncapped. Oh, was it? No, Monster Hunter World was the first one, right? They just left it uncapped. Like just enjoy 25 to 40 FPS at best. So yeah, like it's just unfortunate that they're still doing this now. And like if you have an Xbox or PS5 with VRR, you're sorted, but on Switch 2, you cannot. There's no saving that version right now. So yeah, like just tangent for more Monster Hunter performance complaining as such, but you can get back to schedule now, Brian. Sorry about that.
No worries. The last video I want to show here is a video that came out from Game Science as part of the Chinese New Year, Year of the Horse. The studio behind Black Myth Wukong. Of course, we know that they're working on Black Myth Zhuang Qi. This is just like an in-engine. They actually say like non-canon. That's the phrasing they use. It's not directly tied to the events of the game, but it's a very it's a very technically impressive, very pretty, slightly unnerving little 6-minute video of like a food stall preparing like some sort of super stew while like different sorts of I don't know if yokai is the right word, but like different sorts of creatures like either assist or try to get in the way. There's like a
What
slab of meat that
do
has
your
like
flanks
eyeballs in
of
it.
do your flanks of thigh or whatever have eyes in it?
Yeah, so it's kind of it's a pretty like video, and it's a fun technical demonstration. But it's also just a little bit unnerving. But it's just a fun little celebratory video, from Game Science. So, but they say explicitly for entertainment and like celebrating for Year of the Horse, not directly non-canon to the actual events of Zhong Qi. But fun little video that was enjoying to watch. A couple sales updates. Kingdom Come Deliverance is now available on PS5, and as part of that, Warhorse has kind of also detailed some of the sales milestones for both the first and second game. The Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 has sold 11 million copies, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, as launched about a year ago at this point, has sold over 5 million copies. Of course, a game that we thought pretty highly of, and was very present in our Game of the Year podcast and our Game of the Year kind of award rankings. So both of those games have sold very well.
Yeah, just so the quick clarification that the 5 million for Kingdom Come 2 wasn't in this announcement. Adam actually found it in Embracer's financial report, which they posted like I think a day and a half before the sales number was posted publicly by Warhorse on social and all. So that was like an amazing find because that news got shared around so much to the point where like IRL friends linked me to it and said, "Isn't this the game you were saying I should buy?" And I said, "Look who wrote the story." And that was because Adam like found it and posted it over there. So yeah, that was like a very nice spot from there. The 11 million for Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 was also not posted anywhere except for that stream where they said we're revealing this to the community because we value you, so we're telling you this first or something weirdly like that. When they were showing coffee mugs and they said Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 has sold 11 million, which is 1 million up from the milestone we had last year. So that's like good to see because and they were like very happy about that. And they were talking about how they had like multiple millions claimed on the Epic Game Store, and they said we don't know if people are actually playing it, but we know how many people claimed it, and they were laughing about that. So that was a fun and interesting stream. And the PS5 update which came out, I'll just quickly like 10 seconds. I downloaded it and I was like, okay, it's running well. It kind of looks bad to me. Am I missing something? And then I booted the PS4 version up and I was like, oh, I forgot how bad this looked. The PS5 version is much better. I just got too used to
Yeah.
Kingdom Come 2 basically. So yeah.
So kind of brought it on par with 2. That's kind of neat. All right. But yeah, 5 million. Yeah, good finds on both of those announcements because I guess neither of them were straightforward. But yeah, 5 million for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, 11 million. Just sold another cool 1 million in year like 7 of its release for Kingdom Come Deliverance 1. Mewgenics, a game that we might talk about in a future podcast. I'm not sure. I know a few people here have dabbled in it. Released this week and has sold 500,000 copies, within 2 days of its launch.
Okay, so I missed this. That yesterday it hit 650,000 as well. But like, I'm not gonna
No.
post every time they hit like 100K more or whatever. But I think the notable thing in the last 24 hours for the game is it hit 100K CCU on Steam. Like it finally hit that like 2 hours ago. I haven't played it since like the article I like published because I'm still waiting for them to fix the controller stuff. And yeah, I think like we'll see what happens with 1 million or whatever. But yeah, that's all I'll say about Mewgenics.
We'll wrap up with a little bit of a release date rundown. I think I have this in chronological order. We'll see if I messed up or not. This one we knew it was coming. Utawarerumono Zan 2. We knew that it was going to come to Steam with an English support. We have a date for that. It'll be launching on February 24th.
I
Uh,
I hope the
What?
PC version is a bit more robust than Zan 1. Because I actually very much did enjoy Zan 2. I imported it when it originally came out on PlayStation 5. I actually have the limited edition that came with the soundtrack of it. It's a very... I still would recommend playing Mask of Deception and Mask of Truth before playing the Zan games, both of them. Yeah, like if you like Zan 1, Zan 2 is a better version of that, and it's a better adaptation of the story of Mask of Truth, which is pretty important, I would say. So
This is another one that we knew was coming to PC. They announced it in early January. This is from Nipponichi and Nice America. Liar Princess and the Blind Prince. It's available on PS4 and Switch, but it'll be launching on PC on March 11th. This is a game that was originally supposed to release, I believe, in January, and it kind of got delayed to a later month. The Seven Deadly Sins Origins has a new release date. It'll be launching on PS5 and Steam on March 16th. It'll follow on mobile devices a week later on March 23rd. Dragonkin The Banished is going to be coming out of early access on March 19th. It's releasing for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. This is both an announcement and a date. AI Limit, this is a game that Junior reviewed for us about a year ago, released in March in 2025. It's getting a DLC, Irene's Furnace of War. It's getting an expansion on March 27th. And on the news post for this, we also have the little 1-minute kind of announcement trailer for this DLC. Aether and Iron, this is a game that we talked about. I think this is another one that we knew that it was going to plan. We talked to just in late January that it was going to launch in spring this year. We have a date for it. This is the narrative RPG that Josh previewed for us from PAX West, I believe,
Yeah.
is when you got a chance to see it. It's launching on March 31st. Here's the game that I believe James reviewed for us, Blades of Fire. This is the action game from Mercury Steam, released in May of last year. It is coming to Steam on May 14th with Steam Deck support.
yep, that makes sense. I believe Mikhail and I both talked about it when it launched, saying that, yeah, if it was on Steam, it would be Steam Deck verified because it surprisingly ran pretty damn well out of the box, even with a good HDR. So,
And here's one that I know Adam has some interest in, but the Gothic 1 remake from THQ Nordic and Alchemia Interactive finally has a date. It'll launch on June 5th for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC.
Another veteran entry on the RPG site calendar that's been there for years will finally get off that calendar soon. Adam.
What, Gothic?
Yeah, Gothic
Because
remake.
that was announced. Well, it was weird if you remember correctly. Like in 2019, I think before it was even like announced or even like a concept in anyone's mind, it was just like a demo shows up on Steam. Like, hey, here's a demo for a Gothic remake. Just try it. Like, wait, what's this? And then that became a game.
It was received very poorly, wasn't
yeah,
it?
that first
They're
demo,
like,
yes,
oh, but we're
it
still
was
going to go ahead.
received poorly. So
Well, good luck.
We are
man.
recording Tetracast episode 428, if the number is right. That was originally brought up on episode 142.
Yeah.
Back
There's
in
429 now. Well, last week was 428.
Oh, let me update that. 429. But yeah,
Yep.
300 or ish episodes ago.
God.
And that's it. That's a longer podcast, but happy to have it. It's really cool to have a chance to talk at length about new releases with cameos on the Tetracast. But we got through it all. We got through State of Play.
Yeah,
we got
we're
through a lot of
we're in the
the
Dark Ties section of the podcast.
Yeah, you could have played through Dark Ties in the length it took you to listen to this podcast at one-time speed. Possibly, we'll
Yep.
see. We were able to get through the State of Play, which had a lot of news for us, and the 2026 calendar is kind of very quickly filling in with things like Gothic in June and Beast of Reincarnation in August and Pragmata in late April. Like it's kind of coming into focus. What we're gonna be playing at into the spring and early summer. But we have those features up on the site at RPG site. We've got the Romeo is a Dead Man review. We've got the Monster Hunter Stories 3. A lot of articles, I think 4 total. We have 2 Mikhail performance, one on PC and one on platform. Consoles. Monster Hunter Stories 3 preview and interview, and as well as the Yasunori Nishiki interview from Mikhail. Of course, do give Ashley's review a look at, or at least give him a click over at Video Game Chronicle, VGC.com. If you listen to this podcast, we'd like to see if on whatever podcast service of choice give us a like, give us a rating. We'd love to see those. Join our Discord, discord.gg/RPG site. You can follow us on all the social media networks. Just search for RPG Space Site. You should be able to find us. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Tetracast, and I haven't looked at the calendar to see what
Paranormal
ends
site, baby, next week.
Paranormal
Let's
Site, is that what it
go.
is? Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe Romeo's a Dead Man, Paranormal Site, maybe Mewgenics. We'll see what ends up kind of coming into play for
Proud
our
Nordics.
Proud Nordics a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
Proud
yeah,
Nordics
we do.
as well. Yeah. And then we'll see if they announce the new dot hack or not. Woo!
Oh, that's true. We'll lead with that if it ends up being the announcement.
Oh my god! If it does happen, I'm gonna go insane, man.
But yeah, as always, thank you all so much for listening. Until you hear from us next time, stay safe, take care. We'll see you next week.